Hey, this is Michael Rosenbaum.
Hey guys, Tom Welling. Look, we've both played heroes.
And we both played villains. But in the real life, there are no reshoots, no stuntmen, or sequels.
We all make mistakes. We're all human.
Making one bad decision can not only land you in jail, but could also put yourself and other people around you in serious risk.
Be smart, make a plan, catch a ride, stay put.
Don't let a high moment turn into a lifetime of regret. This holiday season, be your own hero. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI.
Paid for by NHTSA.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.
Okay, so what was the weirdest thing that has ever happened to you because of playing Nellie Oleson?
That's like the list is so long because every weird thing you can possibly imagine has happened to me because of love. One I talk about in the book that was just so bonkers, and Bob, my husband, was there to witness it. It was an autograph show at, of all things, the LA County Fair. But it was great. We got free tickets for the rides. It was awesome. Signed some autographs at a tent, get free tickets for the rides, get a fried Snickers. So we're sitting there, and this woman came in, and she looked a little like her typical fan, same kind of age and everything. And she walks up, but she's so angry. Smoke is coming out of her ears. She's like agitated. She's like, just like holding it in. She's turning colors, getting pale, blue, red. I'm like, oh, is she okay? She's going to have like a seizure. And she comes up to the table and looks at me and goes, I forgive you, and walks out.
From the heart of Hollywood, it's the Patrick Labber Show with Patrick Labberton.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labberton. He's the one you gotta know.
Tonight's episode, Alison Arngrim.
Patrick Labber Show. He's the one you gotta know.
Okay, great. We are in for a real treat here. One of my favorite people that I've ever worked with is a girl you love and hate to love. Please welcome from Little House on the Prairie, Nellie Oleson herself, Alison Arngrim.
Yeah.
Welcome, Alison. How are you?
Thank you. That was so nice. One of the favorite people you work with. I like you too. So yeah, there you go.
No, it's absolutely true. Okay, so you've done a ton of these interviews. I've been on your show. We'll talk about the Little House podcast.
You're interview so people, you interview me, we all, yes. Yeah.
So when you interview someone, you do some research, and so you have a list of questions, and I usually have a document that's a couple pages long and a list of credits and everything. All I have for you is say hello.
Well, yeah, some people I go because I don't know anything about them and I like to do
You're a
deep
self-starter.
dive, and I have all these notes, little index cards, and then other people I'm like, oh yeah, don't forget to ask her about that new book, and because I know everything. I'm like, oh yeah, you have a book out, right? What's up? Yeah.
Act 1, Beginnings.
Okay, so let's do the classical thing because I think most of this conversation, just because look, Little House, as you were saying, Little House affected our lives so much that I think we're going to be talking a lot about Little House, but there was a before Little House and an after Little House. So let's talk about before Little House. You're a kid. You have a great entertainment. You come from a great entertainment family. So at what point did you know or want to become an actor? How did that all start off?
Well, my SAG card says member since 1967, which is like hilarious. I was at some SAG meeting and people were commenting on things and raising their hand and going, Joe Smith, member since 1992, and they don't. Joe says member since 1984. Oh, and I went up and I said, yeah, Alison Arngrim, member since 1967. So I wanted to. They went, wait, what? Just 100? So yes, member since 1960. I was 5. I was working at 5. I think when probably really around 14, I said, yeah, this is a good thing and I want to continue doing it. But as a little kid, I thought everyone did this. I really, till I was like,
and
about
why
7.
was that? I mean, it would make sense if you know a little bit about your family. Tell us about your mom and
So
your dad.
my mother, Norma McMillan, was the voice of Casper the Friendly Ghost. She was Gumby.
So cool.
She was Sweet Polly, purebred underdog's girlfriend. That's like Bob's favorite. And she was Davy of Davy and Goliath. And like practically everybody else in cartoons. And she was on the first Family album. She was Caroline and John, Devon Meters, JFK. I mean,
I didn't know that. So that explains a lot about my questions later. Like, where did the Amy Carter album come from?
At the album cover where they're all standing in front of the White House and it's photoshopped. They're in Central Park. And there's a young woman on the end who looks like she's like 19 or 20. You go, oh, that must be the kid's voice lady. And she's holding a freaking balloon and wearing knee socks and like a little like kerchief thing. It's my mother and she's 40 and like has 2 kids. But
slow down just a little bit here, okay? Because in the first 2 minutes, you mentioned that your mom was Casper and Gumby, okay? What? That's so amazing. So when Gumby comes back around and Eddie Murphy's doing Gumby, damn it, what does your mom think about that?
Now she did not approve. She said, Gumby would not say that. I mean, she was saying it live. She thought it was funny, but she was like, no, Gumby wouldn't say that. Now, Moral Oral, the one parody they did of Davy, she was kind of like, well, this is just the same thing. I mean, it is like that. What? It didn't even change it.
Was your mom a voiceover actress, or how did she know Art Clokey?
My parents had met in the theater because, like I said, the acting came down. I mean, you get into like my Auntie Mary, and it took me. The set had been a concert soprano. She was married to Beach King, who was a major violinist and played the viola and the violin, and worked with Jascha Heifetz and was in.
Wow!
So everybody, and my parents met in the theater. They ran a theater. They founded the Totem Theater in Vancouver. And
please tell us your father's name.
My father's name was Tor Hudler Marvin Arngrimson, which he mercifully shortened to Thor Arngrim. And he almost went, at the time, when he changed it to just Thor, like Cher. But he said Cher hadn't been born yet, so you couldn't quite do that. He said, but it was this close. It's just like, I am Thor. So Thor, and then he was on Broadway. He was in Luther with Albert Finney. So he was on Broadway. And it's bonkers. Yeah. And then my brother was on a soap opera when he was a baby, and then later became like a weird 16 magazine teen idol on TV. So literally everyone, and then all our friends were my parents' friends from theater or TV in New York or theater in Canada. I didn't know anyone who wasn't on television.
So when you're growing up, you're watching your mom on TV. You've got your dad is an actor and an agent and everything.
And then he became a manager. So
business. Famous. And your brother's older, so he was. Were you going on sets with your brother, or you just coming? Okay.
I was
also, so you're soaking in it.
Here's the wacky part. I was doing publicity events. I was in the Santa Claus Lane Hollywood Christmas Parade before I had a job. I was at Toys for Tots. I was at all those events. I was at all the celebrity, like red carpet things, because we all went. And
wow,
as you might guess, I enjoy talking to the public, as he didn't. And even as a small child, I was like, blah. So Hollywood Christmas Parade. Hi, you guys having a good time? The microphone would come and he'd go, here, and like throw me at the camera. And I go, hi, good evening. And I'd just like to say Merry Christmas to everyone there at home and all the ships at sea. I was doing the red carpet and signing autographs and writing in parades and doing shit like that at 6, 7, 8. Yeah. And interviews. I was in magazines.
Was it a question that you were going to do it, or it was just a question of when?
Yeah, it was a question of when, and there was some pressure to get on with it. I watched an interview recently that my mother did somewhere in the 90s and on Canadian TV, telling the whole history of the family, and it's very nice. Mm-hmm. And she says, well, and then she gets to when it says, and then Allison finally got work. Like
they've been, birth. Come on, TikTok, we're waiting.
Like from birth to age 5, I was slacking. It's like...
So what was your first job? Was it probably commercial, right? Or print ad?
Yeah. I believe the very first thing was the Hunt's Ketchup commercial. That's as best as I can remember. That was the first thing. And it's legendary. I mean, okay, I'm so old. My first job, it was in black and white. Black and white. Black and white commercial. I just have commercials in black and white. And it was a whole series of things for Hunt's Ketchup where small children are trying to put the tomato in the bottle because it's like we got all
Oh, yeah.
and they're pushing down on it and squishing, trying to show. And I'm so cute. I'm like a little tiny Barbie with like pale with the blonde bang, the thing, white blonde hair. Man, it's so cute. And I'm sitting trying to get tomato. And my tomato is very red and it breaks and spatters me completely with tomato juice. And I'm just, and I was in this gorgeous little white tennis outfit that they got me for the occasion. And so that I've been excited about and has tomato all over. I was not happy. And the lovely woman, as the wardrobe lady, comes over and says, "Oh my, are you okay, honey? Is there anything I can get you?" 6. And I said, "Yes, get this goddamn tomato juice off of me." Like I'm Betty Davis. I'm Joan Crawford, and I'm 6. I'm Tallulah Bankhead. What is happening?
You know, I've been talking to all of my friends, obviously, on these podcasts, and we all, when we go back into our memory banks, we always think about, who is the person that you're like, oh, great, they're at this audition. I'm never going to get this. And you just mentioned your white blonde hair. I'm thinking Jodie Foster must have been in every audition room you ever went in.
I hated her so much, but you couldn't hate her because then she'd get the damn job and kill it, like just kill it. And you go, well, yeah. And the number of times, Jodie Foster's here. Can we just go home? We just leave. Jodie Foster's here. We knew she's getting it. Just shut up. And then she'd get it. And like I said, you couldn't be mad because then you'd watch it go, damn. But yeah, she rocked. In fact, it
was always a nicer feeling when someone gets it and they suck and you go, I knew I was better than that.
But no, she was a little girl who lives down the lane. That project was sort of circling Hollywood. At one point, my dad, because my father, when he was working at Seymour Heller and Associates, who had Liberace and Debbie Reynolds and all, and he was in TV development. So he had like optioned. He was one of the 10,000 people like optioned Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. And he wanted to get some produce that. And then it didn't happen, and somebody else optioned it. And Jodie Foster, and I was like, oh. And then she was so good, just so good in it. Yeah, I hate her.
So you're doing commercials, and the life of a kid actor. I mean, for you, it was a lot different because we'll get into this later. But like, mom and dad later made you kind of like your own accountant. Right? You had to just sit there and figure out all your money.
I had to learn everything. I knew what it meant. I can't say I had the first nickel I ever made, but close. But I know where it went. If I blew my first nickel, I know exactly where it went. They were sticklers. I mean, I have met people who tell me, I didn't know what I made till I was 18. I've also met people go, and my parents didn't pay my taxes, and I got a tax bill for $2 million when I turned 18. I'm like, oh, horror stories. Or people like, I didn't know how to do anything, how to open a bank account or get a credit card. And they just were told nothing. I had no idea. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to do anything. And they were panic stricken when they became an adult because they were taught zero.
Nothing.
I had a little bank book, a little passbook thingy when I was like 10. I had a little savings account. And then at 13, I had my own checking account. My father had to co-sign checks, but he would co-sign like 5 of them and go, call me next month. What, you're going to write more than 5 checks? You're crazy. You're out of control. So here's 5. And then every year, that's time.
What were you writing checks for at 10?
It's very hard, as you may know, to get decent tax deductions when you're under 18. And you got to have stuff you can write off on your taxes. So at the time, though, clothing and makeup and cosmetics were more rateable, offable, more deductible than they are now. It was a bigger percentage. And then the orthodontics, because my teeth, I had to have my teeth straightened. So I had to pay my orthodontist. I was paying, I had insurance, but I was paying my medical bills. I was paying the orthodontist. Yeah. I paid for new.
So you weren't writing checks for candy or anything like that. What was
cash for that?
What would you do? What would you?
I bought a bicycle. I bought a bicycle. I went down to Schwinn. I bought a bicycle.
Transportation check.
Got a bicycle. I paid like the doctors and things like that. When it was to photos, I paid the photographer and the people when we had to print them. I had the photos and I paid for all those kind of show busy things you have to pay, which were deductible, and we're on there. You keep track of these things.
Okay, so you're paying for all of this. You're getting your prints. You're doing commercials, and then
now when I was I didn't make enough money, or they would have had me pay for it.
Right. No, of course.
But when I was little, I still had like some money that I would buy things. Yeah.
What would you say was your big, was your, I guess the hunts but what was your biggest commercial that you did when you were in this period?
Probably the hunts. I'm trying to remember what else I did. I did a couple. It's a little blurry. I would have loved it. Not the Thing Maker, but there was some doll thing with other kids. It's very blurry.
Okay.
The weird thing I did when I was a kid was there was a show called Juvenile Jury. Okay, remember there was Kids Say the Darndest Things. Art Linkletter would interview little children and ask them about events of the day and important topics and give them cute answers. So everybody had to rip it off. So the other network had Juvenile Jury. And me and 5 other kids were on this little panel. And this is a panel show. And we would have guests, and the host would have, like, kids wrote in, ask for advice. We would have celebrity guests and interview them and ask them questions. We would give our opinions on various matters. I was on this repeatedly. I was on a panel show. I was like the Kitty Carlisle of the 3rd grade. I was on there I was like 8, and I was there all the time. And there was this kid, Todd, who was amazing. I'm trying to find him. I got to find Todd. He was amazing. He was on there.
We still talk about Todd.
Todd was great. He's very cute, and he was smart. I liked Todd. And then Buddy Hackett was on. We interviewed like Buddy Hackett or something. It was like really weird. And so I was a panelist. And then I did an episode of Room 222, which was cut to ribbons. I still get checks for it. You can't see it.
This is my favorite thing. I won't make you say it, but here we are. We're old people, and the first thing you think about Room 222 is they cut my part. They cut me out.
Yes, damn it.
It's like we carry grudges like nobody's business in this business.
Okay, the redheaded guy was following this guy because the girl he liked was dating another guy. Blah, blah, blah. So he's following them, and he keeps getting waylaid. He can't keep up with them because things keep happening. And one thing to happen is I am adorable. I had a little white shirt, a little like school uniform, a little blue sweater, and I had an ice cream cone. I'm like, can you help me across the street? And he has to take me across the street, and then he gets ice cream all over him, and I'm a mess, and it's like a god. And so now he's lost them again. So it was cute, but they had like 87 things like that happen to him, and the show was only 22 minutes, and it wasn't really part of the plot, wasn't integral to so it just kind of it's like you see there's a girl in that, and I'm like, damn. But
how long in this period of time when you're doing all of the panel stuff and the commercials, how long have you been doing this before the Little House thing happens?
So I started at 5, and I didn't get Little House till 12. So I was a little journeyman.
Oh, this is a long period. Yeah,
it's a long journeyman child actor. And then my breakthrough, I had a movie at 10 years old. I did a movie called Throw Out the Anchor with Dina Merrill and Richard Egan. It's a ripoff of Houseboat. I talked about the book. It's instead of Sophia Loren, we had Dina Merrill. It's Houseboat. It's Houseboat. And except it had a weird plot. It's about I'll get you a copy. It's about eco-terrorism. I play this darling little girl, Stevie Porterfield, and my dad is widowed. Our mom's died, and me and the brother and the dad, we go to Florida to get a houseboat and get away from it all, a little vacation. And Cap Cupper, who is basically Mr. Edwards, is in a cabin and drunk, and he's drunk all the money, and there's no houseboat. So we have to fix up a houseboat. We meet all the people who live on the houseboats. But then we find out they're building something on the river, some power plant. They're dredging the river, and it's going to kill all the animals. And I throw a fit and write to the paper, and then all the local loonies who live on the boats get together and blow up the dredge to commit an act of eco-terrorism at the behest of a 10-year-old girl. That is literally what has happened in this movie. But it's very strange. But I got to go to Disney World. I loved it. It is out on DVD. It's unbelievable.
So you did this when you're 10 and then you still have and then you start. So you get the call for Little House
that was the problem. Then there was the lull. I did not work the whole year. I was 11. It's like nothing, man. So my father sits me down. My father sits me down at 11. I didn't have a checking account yet, just the passbook. But he sits me down and says, "You haven't really been working much. We really thought the movie would be a breakthrough, lead to stuff, but you haven't been booking. for like a year. You have to take into account you're at that age. This may be it. Many child stars work a lot when they're little, and then they hit adolescence, and that's it. Or they may work when they hit 18, but it's like I was just giving this play again. They can hire an 18-year-old to play 15 or 14 if they're short. They're not gonna. And you're hitting that age, so you may never work again, or you might not work till 18, and you need to prep yourself for that now because you're really not booking. Seriously, this was laid out at 11, and weirdly, I went,
I love that your dad is sitting you down to let you go. Like, this isn't working.
Yeah. Like again, like he was going to release me from a gun. Like, really nothing.
Yeah.
It was so bad. And of course,
you can still live with us, and we still love you, but we're not working with you anymore.
And having grown up with this and seen this, in fact, happen, I went, yeah, man, it's bad. Yeah, those are the breaks. Plan B.
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey there, my name is Patrick Laberto, and I play an actor on TV. And I also have this acting school called Working Actors School. And what we do there is we teach people to act using Zoom. So you can take an acting class with me and with a person in Connecticut, in Florida, and San Diego all at the same time, thanks to the miracle of Zoom. And I'm very excited to announce that we have a brand new class called Adult Weekly Class. Now, what is that? Now, that's a class that'll meet every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and you come in and you have an hour-long acting class with other students. It's very, very simple, very, very fun. So if you've ever wanted to be an actor or try it or just mess around, these classes are great. So the Adult Weekly Class is going to be every Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific. Now come and check it out. It's going to be really fun. Go to workingactorschool.com. Check out the website. You can sign up for the class there. If you need any other information, there's a phone number and an email on the website. You can get it there. And we would love to have you come and try. Talk to you soon.
Act 2. Success.
And then, of course, I go on in this audition, and I initially went on audition when they were doing the pilot to read for Laura, and I came back and read for Mary. So wrong. And I knew it was wrong. I went, no. And then, I also read for the Waltons. I remember I read for what was like the Cammie Coulter part of the Waltons. I read for all this stuff. Nothing. And then they call me back. And I'm like, but I saw the pilot.
So before, so you go in for the pilot. Was it a thing where you'd read the books? Were you aware of the property? Did you know anything about it?
Clueless, had not read the books. I was a weird child that had not read the books. I was reading Edgar Allan Poe, a strange child. So I did read the books. I had no idea what the hell they were on about. Not a country girl. And then I come back and I'm like, but they made that. We did just two girls. Well, this is great. They did the show. Oh no, they're making the series. There's other people. So I'm like, oh my God, how many people are in this thing? So I get there and it's Paramount. And you go in the room and you're like sitting on stairs or in floors and hallway. There's not enough chairs. You're sitting on the carpet. And me and my dad are sitting there. The sweet
smell of asbestos wafting in the air.
I've just come after school. I'm in like cut off shorts and like a little shirt thing. I'm not dressed up because I had nothing. I had no idea. So I don't know that there's a Nellie Oleson. I don't know who Nellie Oleson is.
Right.
And no input. They didn't say, oh, and you're playing. Nothing. Just here you go. Fling the sides at me. And I look at them. And well, it's that whole first episode with my home and I don't think the country girls have a penny. It's like awful. And I'm reading going, it's terrible. This person, she's dreadful. And I turned to my dad. I said to him all the time, I went, this is not a normal part. I literally said, this is not normal. He goes, what do you mean? I said, she's awful. He said, what? I said, she's a bitch. This girl's a total bitch. He said, what the hell are you talking about? And then I read it for him. So my father falls out laughing. He's like, cannot breathe because it is that funny. And says, okay. Don't rehearse it. Do what you just did. And I went, what? He goes, no, I mean, and he snatches the pages and says, put them face down. I don't want you to even look at them. Do not even look at the pages. You go in and you do whatever the hell that just was. And I did. There was Michael Landon and like Kent McRae. And I think it was Ed Friendly, but there's the three guys, Michael,
right.
And they're on a couch, and I sit in a little chair in front of them. And they were friendly. They were nice. They were pleasant. They were like, okay, you read the thing. And I mean, I read, it's like a whole episode. It's like pages, it's 5 scenes. So I'm reading the entire thing. And
Seriously, they had you read the whole part.
whole thing. I don't think the country girls have a penny. What do you think? Country girls don't even know what a black word is. That's a scene there. And then the My Home is the best. I'm like, this is the whole freaking show. And and they are.
Okay, I'm going to slow you down just a bit, just on the technical stuff here. Okay, so
the whole show.
Usually, when you're reading for an audition, you get sides. You just get like a scene or two because they don't want to sit through 500 bad actors reading a whole script. This seems really weird that you're not there with the casting director. So is it because you had read for them before that they knew you? And so they had this small group of people that they were bringing in.
I was reading for producers because Susan Suckman. I had done the casting director thing when I first came in, and I had a very good agent. Everybody was with Mary. Everybody was with all the children's agents, right?
There's Mary Grady, and I was with Iris Burton, and
No, I had a grown-up agent. I was with Lou Sherrill, who was Adam West's agent. I had Batman's agent. Cool. And he was awesome. He had the pinky ring and the white shoes and the white belt and the Rolls Royce and the cigar. I freaking awesome. And he would take me to lunch at Scandia and talk about the old days. And as I was a child with a grown-up agent, he had like no child clients. He had like my brother and me, and no other child clients. It's like I don't represent children. I represent actors. That's it. I don't know how my parents found this guy. So it was huge. So I had a very, very good agent, and I had read Laura Mary. So they went, oh yeah. So I got a read for producers right away. So the whole freaking thing. So I'm going over, and I go through, and then I got to the
My home is the best house in all of Walnut Grove.
We relace curtains on all the windows and 6 genuine oil paint. They lose their minds, and I'm going, okay, I'm killing, but this is kind of a shock because I'm 12, and these 3 grown men are like sobbing with laughter. I'm like, what is happening? And I finish. I'm like, yes. Could you please read that again? Child actor. Yes. What would you like me to change? Because
what's my adjustment?
What's the adjustment? What's the no? Could you faster, slower, make her nicer? And they're like, just read the thing about the house again. Okay. They wanted to see if it was like an accident, a fluke.
Right.
And I read it again, and I'm telling you, I got the part because there's a joke. There's a joke in there. Go away, people. There's a joke in there that maybe every other 11, 12-year-old didn't necessarily get and didn't play. But I read it, and I saw that joke immediately, went, that's freaking hilarious. And so did my father. My father's like, and we got the joke, and so I played it. She says, we have 3 sets of dishes, one for every day, one for Sunday, and one for when someone very special and important comes to visit, which we have never even used yet. Because you live in freaking Walnut Grove and the Queen is not coming over. You don't know anybody important, for God's sakes. You live in Walnut Grove, Minnesota. And the thing was, it was hilarious, is she's bragging about these dishes, but also bragging about the fact that we've never touched them, as if this is, what do you say, a flex.
Right.
No, bad flex, kid. Not a good flex. And she doesn't even get it in her blonde ringleted head that she's just given away the fact that nobody's coming to dinner and that her family are idiots and have this set of dishes that's never going to get used. And she doesn't know it. And she puts out this brag and has no idea she's just made an idiot out of herself.
But you got this joke, and you read it with the pattern of humor and understanding of it, and that just cracked them
so
up.
I said, this
so
girl
you do
has
this
just
you do
given
this
herself
interview
away.
You're in there with Michael Landon. Had you watched Bonanza? I mean, I'm sure you were aware of who he was.
Well, I knew he was because we weren't like big Bonanza fans, but Lauren Green, his daddy on Bonanza, used to be with the CBC. This is my family Canadian. And my mother used, she said, he was we used to call him the voice of Canada. He was like, this is the CBC. He was he was like the CNN guy. He was the voice of Canada. And she said, it's so funny that it's this all-American show. And he's like the most Canadian person in the world.
So you're at Paramount. You do this read with Michael Landon. And then
kill it.
Is it, you kill it. You tell your dad. Is it how long before you find out that you've been hired?
The time it takes to walk out the door, get in the car, and drive from Paramount Studios at Melrose to Hayworth and Fountain. Not that far. And the traffic wasn't as bad as it is now.
10-minute drive, yeah.
Yeah, 15 minutes tops. Get out of the car, go upstairs. Jess Peterson, who worked with my dad, is on the phone when we walk in. He is on the phone with Lou Sherrill, who has lit up a really
Wow.
good cigar at this point, who is saying wardrobe fitting is Tuesday. Not only in the time it took us to walk out the door, get in the car, and drive home 50 minutes, had they said, screw it, it's her, they had called my agent and made a deal.
Okay, so let's again talk some industry stuff here. So, as an actor, obviously, and as an actor with your experience at that point, I'm sure you'd read for pilots, and I'm sure that you've had experiences where maybe you got close, or maybe you got a pilot and the pilot didn't go. Have you had anything experience like that, or was this your first series?
Oh, I read
experience?
billions. I cannot count how many. I probably went on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of auditions. Like most child actors from about 6 on, it was every couple of days after school, get picked up. You have it. Remember, there were no cell phones. I couldn't call me and say you have an audition later. So you
Were you the right age for Brady Bunch? Did you read for Brady Bunch, or was that before?
I may have. It's like a blurred. I never read for Partridge Family. I know I read for the Waltons because there was something about baby ducks, and that was the family. Nanny and the Professor. I definitely read for Nanny and the Professor. So there's like a Kim Richards thing going on. I read for hundreds that you would come up from school, and about every second or third day, my dad would be, you have an audition today. Oh, great. And get in the car, and what's it for? And sometimes it's like, we don't know. I guess it's child actors, very random.
You just get you get an office name, or a casting director wants to see you for a new project.
Right. Yeah. Screen Gems. Remember Screen Gems?
EUE Screen Gems over at Warner Ranch. Yeah,
went
right
to
there on
Screen Gems all the time. Went to Paramount. Went to 20th. Went everywhere. Read for a lot of casting directors. Now I did, because I said I had Batman's agent. I read for producers sometimes. I had a very good agent, so I was like, sometimes. And I did get. I remember I sometimes got callbacks, and the whole house would get like really excited because, oh my God, I get a job. And so I read. It was constant. So I remember. So I sometimes had more than one audition in a day. It was like that kind of thing when you're a child actor. And it was like there was always an audition.
And the reason, and I get this over and over with the people I've been talking to, the reason is they have these things called cattle calls where they bring everybody in. When you're a kid actor, we know who the good kid actors are. The casting people know. But the clients, whether it's who are the producers or whatever, they go, well, we want choices because we don't know if we're going to find a good kid actor. And so they bring us all in. And so you're always auditioning. But this was different because this wasn't, you'd already auditioned for the pilot. So a pilot is when you do one episode and then you find out later if it's going to be a series. But now you knew when you did your deal that this was a series. So you knew you were going to be in 24, or did they have a 7/13?
I was 7 out of 13. So I knew 14 episodes because they were doing, remember when 26 episodes, they blocks of 26 episodes.
Yeah. Back in the day, that wasn't weird. Nowadays, that's like 3 seasons on Netflix.
26 episodes. Back in the day, they shoot 8 episodes for a season for some Netflix show. That's a 26. That's their entire run. So it's like,
I just laugh at it. It's like we did 6 episodes and then we needed 3 years off, and it's like Michael Landon was ripping these things off in 5 days. But okay, we'll get there. So,
I read, when you get this deal,
what is it that you do? When you get the deal, you're home and you find out that you're on a TV show. Don't know it's Little. I mean, you do know it's Little House, but you don't know what Little House is going to become.
Not a clue.
But you've got solid work for almost half a year.
At least a year. We know for at least a year. Yeah. I am gainfully employed, and and it was a 7-year contract. Remember when people signed 7-year contract? They signed a 7-year contract, and it was a big deal then because the studio system had people like signing for life, and 7 years was deemed by the courts to be just right. Anything else was considered servitude, slavery. You couldn't own somebody. So 7-year contract. So, of course,
which for you is like 2/3 of your life.
Right. And I'm not even twice. I'm not even 14 yet. So it's like more than half my life at that point. 7 years. And of course, my family was ecstatic. This was the dream of everyone in the house to get a series and sign a 7-year contract for a sold, probably hit series because it's starring Michael Landon. So odds are on. It's, Bonanza.
And it's already been picked up. It's no pilot. So you knew going in.
Pre-sold with a major.
You said they had a wardrobe fitting on Tuesday. How many days was that away from your audition? 4 or 5 days?
I looked it up because I read a Thursday. It was Thursday because I found out the day. Do you know why I know what day I got the show?
No.
Because it was the same day as the Symbionese Liberation Army shootout in L.A. when you have to kidnap Patty Hearst.
With Patty Hearst.
It was the day of the show because my mom came home from work and I wanted to tell her I got a show, but we were news junkies, especially my mom. And the shoot, it was live on TV. And she's like, "Shh, I think I see Sync You," and we had to watch the news and like wait for a break. I got a series over. It was
That's
just so
funny.
wonderfully weird. But everyone was hysterical because we're going to eat. Yay, food. They're gonna drop.
No, and it's and when you do a series, obviously the contract tells you how much you're going to make, and if you have guaranteed. So you knew what big chunk of money was coming your way,
Well,
which more than anything, you just knew that you were going to have food and a place to live and
Yeah,
everything was going to
and
be
we were in an
fine for a
apartment
blank
that we
number of months.
didn't have a lot of money. We were in a very nice apartment. We were in Hayworth Towers, for God's sakes. But it wasn't that big a place, and at that time that wasn't considered. Now Hayworth Towers is like condos, expensive. It was not then. It was considered a modest accommodations, and we had a hatchback. It was like we didn't have a lot of money. And my mother at that time was working. She had done a huge career in voiceover theater, then a huge career in radio, then a huge career in voiceover cartoon. Then she stopped working and was like working in an office. And then she later had a whole comeback and got into commercials and movies and became like a star all over again. We are the comeback people. Little House, that's why I tell people, I'm not making a comeback now. Little House was the comeback. I'm on my 57 comeback because my career was over at 11. I was dead. I was dead at 11, and Little House was the comeback. So I made a comeback.
So you go to your wardrobe fitting.
Yes.
You get to the set. Do you remember the first scene you guys shot?
I'm trying. The wardrobe fitting was also insane because, as you remember, poor Laura and Mary had like a dress. They practically shared a dress. They had like 2 dresses. One for them. It was a big deal when they had a second dress. I had 4 dresses out the door. 4 dresses, and they were gorgeous. I had the blue one, I had the pink one, I had the yellow one with the lace thing. I had a purple taffeta. I was like, I don't know who I'm playing, but damn, she dressed it. This is great. So I had 4 freaking dresses. I was like, what is happening? Trying to remember first day. I guess first day was at Paramount.
How did you feel? I'm sorry. How did you feel about that? Because I know you later in life, when you're like a teenager, and you went punk. So were you a frilly girl? Were you a jeans girl? Was this a big thing for you? Did you like it? Did you hate it?
Punk from birth. I was always jeans and T-shirts and my Converse high top tennies. And in fact, somewhere around the first week or so, Jess Peterson, who worked my phone, came to see me, and I'm sitting there in the thing in the frills. I think I had a parasol over my chair so I didn't burn. And I'm sitting there very still to not get the dress dirty. And Jess is staring at me and goes, I think this is the longest I've seen you wear a dress. It's like the whole day. You couldn't actual dress. Like dresses. So it was very weird. It was like being in drag. I really just went. I swear to God, I do own dresses, and sometimes I go to a party and I do put on a dress. I might wear one this weekend. I don't. But generally, I am a pants.
So it wasn't
girl.
anything you were like going, oh, finally, I'm frilly. It's like it was a costume just like any other. It was definitely of Nellie, not of Alice.
Yeah, and I was impressed. The purple one, because it had the satin and the purple velvet stripes. I was like, wow, I look like a piece of Christmas candy. It was really impressive. I was like, I went, okay, this isn't like a side character they're going to lose because they just blew like $1 bazillion on 4 really, really epic costumes. They're going all out. Good sign. And then the first day at Paramount.
That's the mind of that middle-aged actress that I know.
I got to spend a lot of money on this. And then we go to work and Reed Rummage, who, yes, we bad children. We will all, I wish to atone for this. We did call him Reed Rubbish behind his back. But poor Mr. Reed Rummage had like the thankless job of second AD, where he's the poor guy who has to tell people they're late. He's the poor guy who has to go, are you in makeup? He has to like herd cats. You're supposed to be in makeup. You're supposed to be in school. And people are yelling at him, and he's got 3 walkie-talkies.
Meanwhile, Miles is like a magical Irishman who just
he would just disappear, reappear. He was fine. But Reed was like, the poor guy. I felt when I finally got older, I went, oh my God, that poor man. I was like, as a kid, it's like, But we come in, and I had not met anybody yet. And Annie Marion and I arrive, and the first thing he says, why isn't this child in curlers? Having never been in curlers in my life, I'm like,
right.
What? And having no knowledge.
Because that was also, just thinking about it, that was not only the way that your hair was straight, but that was a thing. We just talked about Jodie Foster, Karen Valentine, name every Twiggy, like the straight, long Kim Richards. That was the way it was.
curlers. And I don't know because I haven't read the books. I don't know. I have no idea. So my aunt goes, huh? And she's having an anxiety attack because, oh my God, we've done something wrong. But wait, no one has told us anything. We have no idea what he's talking about. But she's like, I have somehow failed. Wait, curlers? What am I doing? And I'm like, curlers? And he's like, no one told you. Okay, so he's getting in the walkie-talkie and they're running around. Then let the fabulous Larry and Gladys take to my head with curling irons. And then that night, and every night that I had to work after for like a months, I would, the little pink foam ones, and they told my mother, well, you can put her hair in curlers, can't you? And my mother's like, because she'd never put anybody's hair in curlers in her life either. She couldn't even do like a ponytail. The only time I got braids as a kid, I went to summer camp and somebody braided my hair. But my mother's like, here's a brush. So she get Pantene setting lotion and we put my hair in curlers and I had to go be at work at 4 a.m. and our beautiful Gladys wouldn't go clack, 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 clack with the curling iron. It was a nightmare because then it wouldn't stay. It would get humid. And this goes on for a couple of episodes. This goes on for a while until they go, this is insane. And Larry and Gladys go, we're not doing this anymore. And we're torturing this child. And Ziggy Geike, the wig maker to the stars.
Ziggy, yeah, the famous Ziggy, yeah.
Who was like 100 then, and I think he just died like 2 years ago or something. At like 100, he may still be alive. I have to check. If he died, it was like 2 years ago. He's like Ziggy was a Salvador Dali mustache, and this man appears. And he and Larry Germain sit there smoking, of course, the whole time, and put a plastic bag on my head and tape it down, and then take marker pens and start drawing things on my head. And they design this thing, then they pull that off. Then Ziggy brings this box and opens this big wooden case and starts pulling out these huge hunks of hair, fabulous, and holding them up to my head and matching colors. Swedish virgin hair. 6 different shades, so it would look natural. And of course, at 12, I'm like, Swedish virgin, how did you find a Swedish virgin? And
I remember she's not joking, folks. She was always this person, just in a smaller body.
Oh, yeah. And Larry and Ziggy were like, yeah, that's the hard part, huh? Finding this many Swedish. It's totally normal. This is the 70s. Yeah. And so it was like 6 different shades of Swedish virgin hair, like blonde, darker blonde, to mix so it would look like real hair and hand tied. The thing was apparently it was one of the most expensive wigs made. But it was like a big deal. And so from then on, they nailed that to my head. And it really did have a big metal comb that went here, which was like, and then many, 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 many pins. And it looked beautiful. It was absolutely the right thing to do. I guess it was a lot better than sleeping in curlers and coming in 2 hours early. But holy crap, did that thing hurt.
Now, you mentioned that you and your aunt, and I've always known your aunt she's your guardian on set. When you're a child actor, you need a guardian. It can be a legal guardian, but for the most part, it's a family member. And then even smaller version of that, it's mainly a mom. Why was it chosen that your aunt was going and not mom or dad? I mean, Thor and your mom were on set every now and again, but
mom got up at 5 a.m. and went downtown to work at Norton Lilly Shipping Company as the executive secretary to the president of Norton Lilly. She had a job, and that was paying the rent. Because my dad had left Seymour Heller and Associates, where they had Liberace, and was now Arngrim and Peterson on his own. Although he did have Susan Anton at one time.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, he had some hot people. So he had just started his new company, so they were not making a lot of money. And my mother was paying the rent, and I think he was.
But why didn't they live off of your salary like every good industry person would?
Because as horrible as choices my parents made, as bad as they were, as complete Klutzenheimers, I'm sorry. I had a good time with them sometimes, but I don't think I really, if you ask me, would let them care for a potted plant over the weekend. I would be concerned. And they late in life went, yeah, we were really good at that whole having kids thing. It wasn't our thing. We tried. I'm sorry. It wasn't. No. So, as ridiculous as they could be in the many, many terrible choices that they made, stealing the money wasn't one of them.
Okay,
and even
good for them.
When they were very old, my father actually said, because I was talking about some friend of mine who got completely ripped off and the parents had gotten, and he went, so You're saying I could have gotten away with that? I'm like, apparently. He's like, I could have had a boat. Are you saying I could have just taken all that money and walked away? Nobody would have done anything. I could have had a boat.
Well, it's funny, and I'll talk about this because it's like, people don't understand this. So you get money when you're on a long-term series. I just talked with Keith Coogan about this, who surprisingly never had a Coogan account.
I know. Well, neither did Coogan because it was after.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, his grandfather was the reason for these Coogan accounts. So when you sign a long-term contract, like these 7-year contracts, they're supposed to put away at the time 15% of your money so that you have something when you're 18.
Hallelujah.
But the way that they then get away with stealing the money is, okay, so that 15% is put away. But then there's a tax thing where you can do, it's like, well, your dad was actually your manager. But a lot of parents then become managers,
right,
and then take another 15%. So like they take 15% of your money as a management fee, and that's what they usually live on. And then the agent gets 10%. And then if you have a publicist, it's 5%.
And then you're paying them for $500 a month or whatever. Yeah. And all those things, however, are tax deductible as business expenses. So my father, who was a manager before I ever uttered a word on screens, was he was a member and on the board of the Conference of Agents and Personal Managers, who were like an ethics committee for that. So he was way into not stealing people's money. And he even talked about other agents, managers went, they're sleeping with their clients, they're taking their money. So he was like, nah, you just don't do that. I mean, he fired a woman. Arngrim and Peterson initially was 3 people, not 2. And it was really awkward because she was our neighbor and they were friends and she lived upstairs. It was like really awkward. But she was siphoning some money out of an account, like the escrow account. She wasn't paying the actor. She would put the money in the account, take their commission. Then in 30 days, you cut a check to the actor. She didn't. She was like robbing Peter to pay Paul and pay the light bill. And he found out and he went ballistic and went, no, you can't do that. And he fired her and it was ugly.
Wow, good for him.
And as he said, I'm not going to jail. The food is terrible in prison. I'm not doing that. They say, my father wasn't that he had high morals. It's that he had a healthy fear of prison. So there were things he did not do.
Okay, let me get us back on track here. So you're on Little House. No. I'm doing the same thing. So it's a problem when you have a podcast with a friend. Okay, so you're on the set of Little House. You've got yourself a wig, which can't be comfortable. Did that help play your character at all?
Yes.
Not that you needed help, but
like the Grinch's shoes were too tight. Yes. Oh my God. Totally. It was
interesting.
Hell.
So do you remember the first day of work on Little House or no?
So Reed Rummage is in our face screaming about curlers and we like flip out and don't know what's happening. My aunt's having an anxiety attack because she thinks it's her fault, even though she doesn't live with me. I mean, Mom was working downtown. Dad was trying to run the management company. We're like, we're not hanging out in freaking Simi Valley for 8 hours. But my Auntie Marion was retired and adored me, worshipped me, and I loved her.
She did.
So
she was sweet.
like,
was she your mom's sister or Thor's sister?
My mom's sister. Older sister. Okay. And she was awesome. And she was like, I'll do it. And they were like, would you do it? They were like, would you do it? And they're like, we'll pay you. And she's like, they basically give her like a stipend, like per diem. And she had money. She's like, I really don't care. And I get to hang out with my niece. And she goes, oh, wait. And I get to Michael Landon. I'll be on the set all day with Michael Landon. She was totally like, Michael Landon.
It's not like he was walking around the set with his shirt off all the time.
He would see my Auntie Mary.
It was like that.
and lifting weights and pumping up. He would come up to my aunt. He'd go, oh, morning, babe. And like do like cookie kind of hug her and go, morning, babe. And she'd go, she freaking loved Michael Landon. She loved hanging out there. She loved hanging out with me. She was a great moral compass. So it was perfect. My parents were like, this is perfect. And so they would visit. They would visit the set now and again, take a day off and visit. Or Auntie Marion had a dental appointment and my mom go, I'll take a shift. But like, generally Auntie Marion lived on set. So we were there with Auntie Marion and we flipped out and then we got to a phone and made a bunch of phone calls. And I don't think anyone had even called my agent and told them about the girls. Anyway.
Right. So was it on set or were you on location in Simi?
We were on set. That was Paramount. Okay. And I'm trying to think, did we meet at Paramount and like go to Simi? No, I think we went to Paramount first. So I think literally the very first stuff would have been the schoolroom. Country girls don't even know what a blackboard is. I'm thinking it was a lot of that stuff. But right away, we were off to see me very quickly. And my father came down there to see me. And they were just like, there was still some work being done on the sets because that's right, they shot Harvest of Friends second. They shot Country Girls first, and then they shot Harvest of Friends, which, as we know, is aired first, and then Country Girls. So they were still banging some shingles onto like the mercantile when we arrived. And that was, my father said, I don't know why they're spending all this money on this set. This thing's not going to like go. It's one season. I mean, who's gonna watch this? And in the 70s, that's what people loved. Nobody's gonna watch it. Right. Didn't think people were gonna watch this show. So, and of course, a big, huge hit. Or as my father had said, as it started to pick up steam, one day you're going to ask, who do I have to get off of this show? And it wasn't. So we were like, how is the thing? And then that was the day in See Me. We're doing the famous Country Girls scene. And it was so hot. It was so hot.
Yeah,
and
Simi Valley is the devil's armpit.
And I was a little dum-dum, and I didn't eat breakfast. I now have learned, as an old lady, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Remember they told you that? And my doctor said, breakfast. And Bob actually learned to eat breakfast. And Bob was very good about eating breakfast generally. But, and I know, it's crazy tangent. Bob, how many years ago, got he got pneumonia one year. It was just a bad winter. And he got really sick. And there was pills and things and everything. And when it all finally sorted out, while he was sick, doctor said, feed and everything. No, you have to eat. He said, you have to get your strength back. He said, but you have to eat. Yeah. Even if you think you're not hungry, eat breakfast. And I mean, go get like some eggs, eat some damn breakfast every single day.
Yeah, something, yeah.
And so we've been ordered to eat breakfast. He's like, so I, of course, the teenager, I didn't eat breakfast. And it was very hot. And then I ate lunch. And we had the incredible caterers. The caterers, they were beautiful food, fantastic food, but sometimes a little heavy. And they had, it was like tri-tip. It was steak, heavy meat. Yeah. And that was, I still meat.
Au gratin potatoes, spinach. Yes. Like it was like a full steak. It was like a smokehouse dinner on the set.
We wheeled the smokehouse out to the middle of Simi Valley. There you go, baked potato. That was insane. So yeah, they didn't skimp on food. We were not starved on the show. I once had someone say, "Were you girls starved, anorexic?" Oh hell no! They're like, baked potato. Do you need sour cream with that, honey? So I ate all this food. I ate like this big greasy slab of meat. Just not what you want to do. Not there. So I stagger down. They fix my makeup, shove me back in the clothes, and I get down there. And I'm standing
the meat sweats at 14.
And it's a billion, and the sun is in my eyes. They've got, because it's the sun, and they've got, okay, nowadays, children, we have digital, which means a little light like this, little tiny light you can shoot in the dark. See it. Back then, it was standard vision, 35 millimeter, which meant it had to be bright enough to do surgery. So there's these things, they got the 10Ks with smoke coming out of them.
Yeah, and they literally have a smokestack because they're burning carbon. They're recreating the sun, the Kelvin temperature of the sun by burning carbon. It's
a copper tube full of this burnable carbon stuff, and they light it on fire and put it in this thing with a giant magnifying glass. Literally, and they've got several of these pointed at my face, plus a couple of guys, the crew with the toothpick in the mouth and the shirt off with the reflectors and the big tin. They have all of this, plus the sun. I'm like, what are we? I'm like, my face is melting, and I have blue eyes, right? You know that drill. Yep. Like, yeah. And I'm dying, and the tri-tip is kicking in, and and my anxiety level is like through the roof because this is like the entrance scene, my big thing, say Country Girls, and I'm like, where am I? And it's getting worse. And Claxton is directing, and I start to, and I realize, oh hell, I just said the sky turned green and the grass turned blue. I mean, I just went, those shouldn't. Oh, that's bad. I'm hallucinating, and I was like conscious enough to go, I'm losing it. And I turned, I said, excuse me, I think it was Miles. I said, excuse me, I think I'm going to faint. What is it the Canadian Army where they talk about if you're going to faint, you have to make sure to fall this way, not hit the other soldiers and get permission? Just like that. Pardon me. I am going to pass out now. And out. Dead. I mean, out. Unconscious. Blackout.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's
And
hard.
they broke an ammonia capsule under my nose, upset Medicam, and shoved a salt tablet under my tongue. Have you ever had a salt tablet under your tongue?
No.
It's disgusting. Have you ever had an ammonia capsule
No.
Neither of them are good. The ammonia one's especially bad. Same time, and they didn't, and you have no idea this is coming, and I didn't even know that was a thing that people did. And I just I'm unconscious, and there's ammonia up my nose. I'm gagging.
Try to.
They're like, "Oh, she's alive. She woke up," and I'm like, "Yeah." It was
Back to one.
It was like Pulp Fiction with the Narcan needle in the chest. Like, wake up! Like
This is your first day. I love it.
And they took me up to the dressing room and said, "Yeah, you should lie down." I'm like, "You think?" And I lay down with Annie Marion sitting with me in a nice, cool, dark room. And I remember she said, "You should eat something." I had a peach. She got me a peach, and that seemed to be blood sugar felt better. And Melissa Gilbert's pacing outside the dressing room, going, "We have a fight scene later. She has to get better." And she's like pacing outside my room, so door. And then maybe half an hour, they gave me some time to lay down. And then Annie Marion was like, "You up?" Because, like I said, she was in show business. It's like, good. And I got dressed and we went back down the hill and I came down there and said, "Country girls." And then later we did the fight scene about Ring Around the Rosie and she punched me and I put in the rest of the day.
Okay, so this is fantastic. So
we keep going. Can we keep going?
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Do you have a time limit? I'm good.
No,
I'm good.
There is no time limit.
Good.
Let's slow down just for a second because there's something that, a lot of people always want to know this. And of course, let's just get it over with. You and Melissa are great friends. You're not enemies.
Yes.
Nellie and Laura have issues, but you and Melissa are great friends. So
we are. It's crazy.
One of the things about being a kid actor is you're surrounded by kids at the auditions. And then unless it's the Waltons, Little House, or Brady Bunch, when you get a job, you're mainly maybe the only kid there. This is the different one. So you show up and tell me how you met Melissa and how you guys, because you guys have a great friendship and always did. How did that happen and what was that?
And I have to say, it is preferable developmentally and psychologically and just having a good time. You are so much better off if you get on a show with a bunch of kids than the only kid. I will put that out there now. All of my friends who were the only kid on a show and people who were showing a bunch of kids. First of all, you have a group of children so you can sort of defend yourself. It's like the adults who are giving you a hard time. You have kids you can lean on. It's like being in school, so it's sort of normal. You have people to talk to. People who are it's like being an only child, some kind of weird thing. If you're the only kid on a show, you're interacting with adults, not even teenagers. You're actually 40-year-old people. That's where you get your 40-year-old midget syndrome. You're interacting with nothing but adults all the time. You're the only kid. There's nobody to. It's weird things that happen. So you are better off if you get a show with a bunch of kids. So we were like, yeah, score. So Melissa Gilbert appears like in a puff of smoke at Paramount. And as I said, she was so tiny. I said I could fit her in my purse and she could chew her way out if she had to. Because she had not started the neither of us had started the orthodontics yet. So she was like, like a beaver, a small beaver with braids up to me. And she's so cute with it. And she starts going and telling me what's what and who's where and who's in charge. And she's nice to them and then they're no good. And she's really great. And then she launched into a thing because she and Melissa Sue Anderson did not get along despite playing sisters. So she gives me the whole riot act about how just like awful Melissa Sue is. And isn't she like, she's 10. She's 10. How bad? What are we talking about here?
Well, just to say again, I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but with Melissa, I've always wondered about this because Melissa comes from a industry family as well. Her dad wrote Who's on First. He's a huge comedian.
Yeah,
so she and you have very similar, not the same, but similar influences and backgrounds. You've got the history.
She was adopted, but as an infant. So her mom had been in show business, but her dad was Paul Gilbert, the actor. Paul Gilbert is on these movies. And her grandpa was Harry frickin' Crane, who did like a producer of The Honeymooners. So she was, before she was on Little House, she was on weird things. You ever seen like the Dean Martin Christmas special?
Yeah.
She's like this big. She's like a baby, and she's in a little Christmas dress. In the Dean Martin Christmas special. She was born on a set, like born in a trunk. Yeah, she was born in under a 10K light. It was just that's where she lived. So we did bond because we both had that thing of being raised by a bunch of show folk and being in show, and she'd been working since she could stand up straight. They had her in commercials, so we met. We're like yada 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 yada. Whereas Melissa's whose parents were not into that.
You're like Joan and Bet.
Yeah. And so, And so she was I think she was looking at us like, who are those two? Run away, get away, get away. And so Melissa and I immediately click. And like I said, when, with the fight scene, she can't be sick. I have to beat her up later. She just right away. And then we'd go for Slurpees at the 7-Eleven after work. We'd have slumber parties at each other's house. And today even, it's bonkers. We're we text each other, and when we've met up at these reunions and things, the hugging and the crying and
yeah. It's interesting because I there's so many dynamics that I want to talk to you about to get the other side of it. You guys, when, I was thinking about this when I was putting this together, it's like everyone knows, if you're a Little House fan at all, that Melissa Sue Anderson was just cold and distant. And I had a thought today, which I thought was an insight that I hadn't thought of, which is, I don't know if she would have been considered an issue on any other set, because a kid just goes to work and goes home on a set. But because Little House, from Michael Landon on down, Michael Landon was very personable and very kind and loving to the kids. He could be very scary to adults if you got in any moment of his way, because he knew what he was doing. Don't cross Michael Landon, but why would you? But if you did, it's like there's a puff of smoke and like, what happened to him?
Yeah, you had to legitimately screw something up. But if you legitimately did,
But I remember having been, when I first got there, being welcomed and having everyone be so kind and so nice, that maybe Melissa Sue got the rough end of the deal here because everyone else was one way. She never went out of her way to be mean, as far as I could see, but she was always very withdrawn, which in that framework felt different and weird.
It made her
but you and Melissa were very similar.
Outsider. And
so you and her were very similar. So Melissa is going to respond to what is up with that? And
now, here's the crazy part. You've heard about the armistice, the truce.
Yeah, no, it seems like
our armistice was declared in June on the beach at Monte Carlo. A treaty was
written in margaritas.
It turned. I always said I'd buy the first pitcher of margaritas, and it turned out to be champagne on the beach at Monte Carlo. And we were hanging out, and she enjoys France, and so my French friends are going, yeah, she's we met her, she's cool, she's in France, man. And I'm like, well, all right. And then Monte Carlo, everyone's happy in Monte Carlo because it's not really like work. It's a TV festival. You do some interviews. Right. There's a meet and greet with fans where you answer questions.
And you're in Monte Carlo.
And you're in Monte Carlo. And there's just all these parties and press stuff. You do interviews, you do the red carpet, and you sign a few autographs outside. There's one thing, there was a tea party kind of thing where it had a small group of VIP fans and you signed a few things. But there's no sitting at a table selling. There's nothing. There's no worky work. It's so everybody has a good time. And she brought her daughter, and so she's having a good time. And next thing you know, we're talking. And she was like, okay, you know how we always say, well, she's not open. She's on this panel taking questions from press and fans, and she suddenly opens her mouth and starts telling personal stories. And we all kind of went. And at one point, she's talking about Michael, and she choked up. She teared up. And we went,
wow.
Okay. And then we started talking and hanging out. And one poor sitting there, I'm like, are we friends now?
Do we just become best friends?
Can we do this? I think we can do this. Is this working? Yeah, this seems to be working. And yes, there's pictures of us sitting together and smiling, and it's absolutely hilarious. And she had such a good time. I said, look, you don't want to come on the podcast, do you, with me and Dean? I mean, I know you don't really. Yeah, I'll do. She did 2 episodes.
I saw it.
She was like, oh, and then there was the time.
It's amazing.
And we're like, I don't know. And as I've tried to explain this to people, I said, okay, have you ever worked with tween girls. People who are teachers get
Right.
this.
I love this.
Tween
Please explain
girls,
this. Yeah.
11, 12, 13, 14. Take several of them, jam them into a room, and lock all the doors and windows. What's going to happen? What is going to happen? It's
And
Lord
put them
of the
on
Flies.
TV.
And yeah, it's Lord of the Flies. And then put us in Hollywood where there's competition, and the agents and the managers and the stage parents are every 5 minutes going, yeah, you're prettier than her. You're a better actress than her. You should have a bigger part than her.
Right.
Yeah, all three of us getting that we're supposed to hate each other and be competing. And we're like, I don't feel like doing that. They seem perfectly nice people to me. It was bonkers. And that kind of pressure and tween age, yeah, bad things are going to happen. You're going to have people who do not like each other. You're going to have people who it's going to be war.
So you make this great friendship with Melissa.
But yeah,
And then
Melissa's like my kid sister. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Like my
Melissa's
sister.
brother plays your brother on the show.
And I basically adopted him.
Yeah, and we just love Jonathan. Jonathan's always been, and I'm not going to mince my words here, but know that everything I say about any of these people, it's from love. Jonathan's always been weird, which is fine.
He was never been
weird.
Of this world. He is not of this world. He has always been absolutely cuckoo crazy. Yeah.
So you had Melissa, you had Jonathan, and then there was, the only reason I was on the show was because Mr. Edwards left and they had to bring in a new family. But you had Kyle
Hollywood.
Richards.
Man got a gig.
Yeah. He left, and he later came back. But Kyle Richards, and so then you had all the Richards like influence over there. I'd worked with Kyle on something else, and so there was Kyle and Kim, and then Kathy.
Kim was little Olga with the shoe, the leg thing.
Right, that's right. Yeah, she also did an episode.
I was really mean to her.
Todd Bridges on the show. In a great episode. So you've had all these kids on the show. I've always wondered, when I came on the show, I tell the story about like, how did I meet Allison? She started talking to me in the middle of a sentence and hasn't stopped since. It's been, I think you were explaining John Waters to me.
Yeah, we were in makeup area, which was just everybody was just chatting, and we were going all back and forth, and you just sort of appeared, and I was like, oh yeah, I went, yeah, so you know how that is, and you went, right, yeah, exactly, and just like yanked you into the conversation. You were like,
but I've always wondered. So you're in production on this show. It's like I think I joined the 4th season.
That's right.
What was it like when you were an OG kid cast member and they brought in new kid cast members? Was it
and
weird?
Your brother and all of these new people. Yes,
they did it, and they continued to do that all the way through Bateman and Doherty and all the kids that ended up being there. But what was it like for you? Was it?
I loved it, and
weird?
Melissa and I, we both thought it was like we got baby brothers and sisters, just like I remember with your brother Matt, because he was a little guy. We were walking down. Now, there's been a lot of person interviews talking about that he had on the autism spectrum and was diagnosed with all sorts of stuff. They didn't tell us that when he arrived. We didn't get the memo. And apparently there was all sorts of jibber jabber about, he shouldn't, don't touch him. And you might have no sudden movements or something, like he's a wild animal. And like all sorts of nonsense, which is like completely not true. And like, don't do this. Right. They didn't tell us. So Melissa and I we're having a high old time. And I remember we linked arms. We got our new NBC jackets with the peacock on them. So we're gang members.
Silk ones, yeah.
we're like the T-Birds. So we're walking around like we're in a gang in the streets of MGM or where the hell we were. And so we're linking arms. We're walking along going la 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 la. And Melissa and I see a trash can. And we look at each other and go, yeah. And we go la 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 and go up and lift your brother Matt up and drop him in the trash can. Great hilarity. And later there was like wrestling in the dressing rooms and like shoving him under a couch. I mean, this guy, and like weeks after this, oh yes, he's very sensitive and he has a condition and you really shouldn't touch him. We're like, well, we stuffed him in a trash can and he didn't seem to mind. Thought it was funny as hell. Yeah, we just so.
I was not going to tell this story, but since you told that story, I will tell this story. I did not get along with Jason Bateman on a very personal level at school and whatnot. We weren't on the show together, but we went to school together. And I find Jason to be a very annoying human being. And apparently so did Todd Bridges, because when we were at Universal, he was doing Silver Spoons and Todd was doing Different Strokes. And again, we were fed up with Jason, so we threw him into a trash can at Universal. But it was not from love and fun and skipping. It was, we wanted to get rid of this kid.
We
there you
threw
go.
him out in a trash can because we loved him and he was little. We thought, wow, he'll fit.
Yeah.
We just thought it would be adorable. And he was laughing. And we were like, you're in the trash can. We got him out. Yeah. We were just screwing around. We adored him. But yeah, so we were like that. But that was the thing. We were kids. And there was a whole thing where I've joked about, like, people said, did they steal your childhood? And I said, yeah, but Melissa and I kept stealing it back every chance we got. We had moments where we could be kids and hang out with these other kids. And then in school, glorified study hall, we'd all go in a room with a bunch of long folding tables and chairs and do our homework and our assignments. We were kids. We were passing notes and getting in trouble and making up excuses. I have to go to the bathroom in order to get the hell out of there for 5 minutes, and we were terrible, writing on the desk, but we were able to do stupid kid things, which was fantastic, and probably why we're not like in the Ha-Ha Hotel after all that.
Well, and what they did a lot of nice things for us as kids. Not that. It's weird when you think about the 70s and the level of production. You walk on a set today and it's like it's honestly a small town. You get these trailer villages where they've got these trailers circled, and it is better living than, at a resort somewhere, as far as like the size of the trailers. Back in our day, we had one trailer. It was a honey wagon, which is it's a trailer split up into like 5 different rooms.
Yep.
Merlin and Michael would share a honey wagon trailer.
Michael would share with Victor, and he would share with Hal Burton, his stand-in, and he would share with Merlin. And Melissa and I shared. It's like if the days when there was everybody, like it was Founders Day Picnic or one of those kind of shows with 10 million people. So Karen Grassley and Catherine McGregor would take one, and me and Melissa would double up. Who does that? Nobody does that. But
everyone is so frightened that it's going to represent. And again, I think I go right back to Michael, mainly because if Michael's sharing a trailer, who's going to ask for their own trailer?
Now,
which I think was a smart move by Michael.
You did get to pick.
Producer.
You got to pick. I mean, Michael was only bunking with his best friends, with Victor and Hal and people here, and me and Melissa. So you did get to pick. You were like, well, okay, I'll double up. I'm not doubling up with that.
Oh, sure. No, but I'm just talking about the size. When we talk about trailers, literally, and I remember, I mean, as a kid, I put my arms out, and you could not only touch both walls, you could lift yourself up. It was so close. I don't know how Merlin fit into this.
Even get through the door of one of those.
He'd have to go sideways, and it's not a joke. He was that. I mean, it was that small.
The ceiling was here. How did he? They were a little box.
I know I'm all over the place here, but this stuff.
This is so much fun. This is so much fun. Okay. Oh, I wanted to talk about the money because you talked about trust fund. I had the trust fund, so I went to court. So 12 years old, went to court with Tracy Savage. That was great because Tracy Savage, who was playing Cassie Kennedy, was signed the same day as me.
Oh, okay.
And so Tracy Savage had a 7-year contract. I know she was there like 2 years. I don't know, but she had a 7-year. We were marched into court in front of a judge, and lawyers, suits from NBC were there, and my parents came with me and everything. And we'd all dressed up in our little good dresses, and the judge explaining you're signing a 7-year contract, and the trust fund, the Coogan account was set up, and 15%. And the judge was awesome because normally it's like rubber stamp. Okay, get out of here. The judge stopped everyone, said, okay, I want to make like a statement here, and this is like for you guys, the lawyers from NBC. These are minors. I know we're going through this whole song and dance here and signing these contracts and pretending that they're worth the paper they're written on. These people are under 18. These contracts are not worth the paper they're printed on. It is illegal for a minor to actually agree to anything. If either of these kids shows up in my courtroom and wants to break this contract, I'm doing it. Because you can sign it. And it's Hollywood, so we'll all just kind of go along with this, that we're going to agree to this. But these kids can walk any freaking time because they're under 18 and you have like no say. And we're like, whoa, what is happening? And then he said, I'm actually putting a rider in here just in case. What are you kids, 12? Okay. At 14, maybe that's why it was 2 years for, I don't know. At 14, if you really, really want to go, I'm putting in that you can break this contract with actually no repercussions, like you don't even have to come to court and they have nothing to say, that you have an out at 14, because that would be at least some age of decision making. I'm putting that in because this is crazy. You guys are children. And he said, just so everybody knows, all these stage parents and the lawyers, this is a charade that we're actually having children sign contracts. And I actually know that as a judge. And everybody's like, whoa. And I was like,
I say
we
this
love you,
almost
man.
in every podcast where I talk to one of the people that were a kid actor, is that and this I think is actually legally true. And I was a TV lawyer for 10 years, so I'm going to go with it. That there's only one other job in the country, which is during harvest time in corn bearing states, where it's legal for a child to work besides acting. There's no acting. There's no doctor children. There's no lawyer children. There's no child,
all farming.
Accountants. But you can be a child actor
where they're picking lettuce, and there's kids loading.
Right. And so the weird part about this job is, here we are, and especially on Little House, my mom just got burned up in a blind school fire. My pa was run over by a wagon. Somebody got shot, whatever. They died of the plague. You're crying about your father. You're crying about your mother. And then you got to be doing geometry for another 20 minutes, 2 seconds afterwards. And the adult actors don't have to do that. Robert De Niro doesn't go from Raging Bull to the schoolroom. And it's such a weird experience to be. Yeah. It's a harder job for the kids than it ever is for the adults.
We're usually paid less and usually treated poorly in most places, not in Little House, treated poorly. And yet, exactly, the adults, if they have a hard scene, they can go get a cigarette, they can go get a drink, they can go to their trailer and say, I need a minute. We have to go finish the algebra homework and that term paper that we're writing about Benjamin Franklin. We have to go finish that. We have 3 hours of school.
I always thought it was such a weird thing when I was a kid. And now I even think of it, it's even more weird as an adult when you think about how you need to shift lanes so quickly. But I wanted you to talk about this because you know this stuff better than I do. So one of the great things about Little House is we're in the 1970s. And so the older actors, the older people that were in the business were kind of finishing out their careers on Little House. And so I didn't know the story. I told the story on TikTok about Whitey Snyder when I found out, but there's Whitey Snyder, the makeup guy. There's the hair and makeup people. The people that worked on the show were, to me, just old people that did this. They're probably younger than I am now, but they were like, oh yeah, the makeup guy, the hair lady. They seem really old.
The way people
tell us who these people were, because they were huge in the business.
Whitey was Marilyn Monroe's makeup man. Marilyn Monroe. We all look so good on the show. I got makeup tips from him. I think Marilyn Monroe's makeup man, and all of them, Gladys and Larry, had worked with Marilyn, Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, Sandy Dennis, and Gladys Whitcoy was Faye Dunaway. So I had worked with Faye Dunaway on like multiple pictures. She was on Bonnie and Clyde. They worked on everything, and they had worked all the stars. And Linda Darnell, I remember Linda Darnell. They loved her. So Whitey had a money clip. They all had gifts from Marilyn. Gladys had a necklace. Whitey had a money clip, and he showed it to me. And it said, "While I'm still warm, Marilyn." And he literally used his money clip, put the money in Karen's pocket. And I'm like, what a weird thing to put on a money clip. And Gladys is like, shh. And so like later, Gladys, okay, don't ask me about it. I'm like, what is that? She goes, Marilyn used to always joke. She used to say, Whitey, when I die, I want you to do my makeup while I'm still warm.
Oh my
but
God.
When she died, he did in fact do her makeup from the funeral. And it was extremely traumatic for him because he really loved her.
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
Your friend. And so she said, yes, don't ask about my money. Wow. And then she worked with Marilyn, and then she had great Faye Dunaway stories. Faye Dunaway, little bit temperamental. And so she had some wild Faye Dunaway. But she would always wind up going back. She sometimes left. She sometimes quit the picture and said, this is out of control.
Gladys would or
Gladys. Because Faye. Wow. That was Gladys's thing, and I joke about it in my act. I have a real estate license. I own my own home. I do not need this shit. And Gladys was like very independent, and she was coal miner's daughter. It's like the Dolly Parton story. She grew up in a cabin with the 87 brothers and sisters, but she owned her own home by like 19. She's like So she was like, I bought a little shack, and she had a real estate license. One time she showed up for work, she had her like Century 21 jacket. She'd like showing homes every day. And she did. And she had a big house in Laguna, and she had like a elevator and shit. There, she was wonderful. But everybody, and she had stories about all of these huge stars. And Larry, one of his first jobs in Hollywood, they said, well, Betty Davis is coming in. You have to give her a shampoo, like a blowout. He's like, Betty Davis, I have to shampoo Betty Davis up there. And he was young and just got there and starting in Hollywood. And Betty Davis was coming in with the reputation. And he's so he's running around the shampoo room at the studio and gets literally every kind of shampoo like ever made, like out on the counter so she can pick. It's like, I don't know. It's going to kill me. And she comes in and says, I just want to rinse it out in the sink with some Dreft, which is like ivory snow. It's like laundry detergent. It's like ivory flakes. Dreft was a mild laundry detergent.
Yeah, you use it to wash baby clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, Dreft. And he's like, okay. And so he washed her hair with Dreft, and she was very happy, and they bonded and were friends for years and years and years. And Larry, that wig, because it was very whatever happened to Baby Jane, when he would put the wig on, he would give me a cigarette to hold, and I would go, what a dump. And we would do this. And if you look painting, that's Ryan Landry is the artist of my Betty Davis painting up on the wall. We love the Betty. But yes, I got stories about all of the stars from them because they had done them all.
Do you remember the Wizard of Oz story? Because I've told it, but I don't know your view.
Yeah.
What do you remember?
We were on
about
stage 15, which at MGM, which is where they shot Shooting the Cat and the Wizard of Oz. And then we had Ray Bolger on the show. So it was like all this like that. And I did not know that the Yellow Brick Road was still there. Hollywood, they just reused everything. They slapped linoleum down on a soundstage. And now, we need wood paneling and slap that down. It's a different floor. And they just be piles of like layers if they care. So one day they're ripping it up because, I don't know, Doc Baker was getting a new office. I don't know. They're tearing stuff up because they're going to put something else there. So they pulled up, I don't know how many layers of this industrial linoleum. And there, painted on the floor, and that is the freaking Yellow Brick Road. And it's the swirly part towards the end with that's got the gray and the red. You can kind of see like right when she starts it. It's like, which is like in the corner of the stand. When you go back and watch Wizard of Oz, the walls are painted. You can see she's dancing. If she turns too far to the right, she will go into the wall. And they make it work in the movie because they're dancing. She turns quickly with those munchkins and doesn't go that way. She's got like this much before she hits the wall. So it's in the corner. And there's the swirly part. And Melissa and I we found it. We're like, oh my God, you got it. So we ran in circles on it. We were like clicking our heels. Can we get to Oz? Can we get to Oz if we run on this? But I have walked on the Yellow Brick Road. I've walked on the Yellow Brick Road.
So tell me, when I joined the show, you guys were super kind, and I had a great time on the show. We were shooting at Paramount. I loved Paramount. I was not a big fan of MGM. MGM is just so big and impersonal. And I mean, MGM. If you knew how big MGM was when it was the real MGM, it was like the size of a city, and they sold off pieces.
Yeah, cozy.
Yeah. And so what I liked about Paramount was they had, I don't know what we called it. Was it Mankato, Sleepy Eye? They had the Western Town that was right in the middle of the studio.
Right over there. So walk on over.
Yeah. And what I loved about Paramount is they shot Grease, like right outside of where we would shoot Little House. We would see we visited the Star Trek set because
Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, everything. We were on the Star Trek set because our sound stages, 31 were 9 and 10 and were the Star Trek sound stages back when it was Desilu.
And Matt Jeffries, who designed the Little House, also designed the Enterprise. And when they started Mork and Mindy, a bunch of us kids, I don't know if you were one of them, I'm sure you probably were, would go over and watch them rehearse the pilot for Mork and Mindy and watch Robin because he was just too funny.
I met him at the Comedy Store during that because I was doing stand-up.
Oh, that's right.
But I love that they had the Happy Days, the Laverne and Shirley steps, and I would run down those at Haas and Pfeffer Incorporated. And, but yes, it was all there, and we were all on the Star Trek sound stages. So Shatner and I became friends, Mr. Shatner and I, on Twitter. Back in the day when you get really got the blue check for really being like, authenticated and all that.
A real person,
He got me verified for my birthday. So we live in a world where
Oh.
James Tiberius Kirk gets Nellie Oleson verified on a social media platform. So we're Twitter buddies,
This
and we
is
have
amazing.
discussed the fact that I was on the same soundstage, and discussed the fact that he was in a play on Broadway with my father.
Oh my God! Well, he's Canadian, so
Canadian,
I mean,
yes, they're the
everyone
same kind of
knows.
aged
Every
and
Canadian
Canadian.
knows
Yeah.
Canadians. So God, we gotta generate some sort of publicity here, Allison.
Every tangent. No, I like talking about
what character,
the money thing.
What actor?
Oh,
What
yes.
actor did you? Was there an actor that you didn't get along with on the show? And I won't ask for names unless you want to give it. But like,
I mean,
you seem to get along with everybody.
At the time, Melissa, Sue, and I were from other planets.
Yeah.
And did not speak each other's language or whatever was going on there. So it was, but I just didn't. I mean, I didn't go over and like antagonize her or anything. So like, it was just like, okay, I guess we're not hanging out. And now we're like, I don't know. We're getting mani-pedis or something. We're talking. She's, I don't know. Like I said, I'm freaking 62 now. It's like, we're nice now. We're friends now. I mean, there are people I know. I go down the list. There's several people I know who I despised when I met them, who I totally became friends with later. It's like, it's fine. Yeah, when you're young, you're like, I hate you. It's like, why? I know.
Right.
But other than that, no, I got along with absolutely everybody. I loved everybody.
Yeah, I believe that. I could see that. I see that. I have a very similar situation where it's like, it's easy when you find a way in to certain people, whether or not you get along with them or not, to be able to be with them. The problem about us is there's so many stories. What would you say was when? And I'm not saying this is not like a. How do I say it? What was your favorite thing about Little House? Not the episode but what did you, when you think about Little House, what did you really love about it?
Now, I have to tell you, honest to God, when I got the gig, it was like, what's that cartoon? Food around the corner. No more Meatless Tuesdays. Because, there was a recession in 1974. And in fact, that was one of the reasons the show was a hit. The books came out at the height of the Great Depression. And then the show came out at the height of the terrible, terrible 70s recession when everybody was starving. And here's the Ingalls going, slate pencils are 2 cents now. Everybody's laughing at home. And so, yes, and absolutely. So, like I said, my mom had a job, was paying the rent. My dad made car payment, but we were doing okay. And then what happened is about, I guess, a few months in, they said, would you mind buying groceries? They said, we're not taking your money. We're not charging your rent. My father, he was getting a percentage as manager, but he didn't take the full 15. He dropped his price to 10, and that was written off on my taxes. He said, you can give it to the government to buy a V-52, or you can give it to me. And he said, it'll go into the rent. And so I wrote that off, and then my agent and all the other things I paid for, so that's fine. So they said, can you, and they said, mostly the grocery money will actually come out of your unemployment insurance, because when I wasn't filming, I was considered, quote, that's considered laid off when you're not in an episode. So you apply for unemployment insurance. And that was like $90, a lot of money then. And now I didn't get like a lot of money. So I always say it wasn't friends' money. I didn't get a lot of money in the show. But because I didn't have a children's agent, and he was getting me like, not scale, like scale plus like a bump, like right away. And there were a bunch of kid actors who just got scale when they first signed. But my agent was like, hell no. So I did okay. I did really decently. It was like good money for us. So I said, yeah, I can totally afford groceries. And they're like, you're a teenager, you're eating all the food anyway. I like to cook. They said, and you can pick. So we'd go to the supermarket and I'd say, crab legs for everyone. Okay, fine. So they didn't care. So we'd buy food. And then they had screwed up and hadn't taken the 15% out for the trust fund. They had bungled it and hadn't taken it out of like the first few checks. And so they said, oh my God, we have to take this out immediately, like double. Now with taxes and then the trust fund, and it's illegal to have no checks. So I was getting checks for like $5, $1, $2, because it's just whoosh, went into the bank. which meant if I wasn't working, I was making more money because on unemployment that week. And then I got the $180, so that was fine. But then wouldn't you know it, that the week that this thing hits, where they go, for the next couple of checks, we're just going to take like everything and get that in the bank, and then we'll be fine. We'll be square. That would be the month that I would be like every episode.
Right.
So I'm working, so I'm not getting unemployment, and then my checks are for $1. So we had just budgeted the whole household where I bought the groceries, and
Hold on.
it went slam. So suddenly there was no money for food, and it was hilarious. But yeah, so yeah, but being on TV and getting a job meant, oh my God, I have a job, we have money. It means we can pay for it. I can get my teeth fixed. Look at this. Look at this. That's great. That's fabulous. My teeth were so bad. I have the mold.
How bad were your teeth?
They took the mold. You know, they do the mold when you go in, and you have the model of what your teeth were when the before and after. I still have it. I have the little plaster mold of my teeth. When people come in my house and they see this plaster mold, they say, "Is that your dog?" Or, "Is that from a horror film?" Because these two teeth were like up here. I was like a werewolf child. So yeah, so it was a big thing. It was a big thing to have gotten the show. It changed my life. I knew it was changing my life when I got it. I mean, right away I was like, I shall never go hungry again. We're going to be okay. And God forbid it should run. And then it was like, wait, no, I'm really going to be okay. Well, like, I'm going to have a living and I have a career, because I was doing these little things and then it didn't work the whole year I was 11. So I was like, wow, I'm on a show. So I'm actually going to be famous. I'll be in the Hollywood parade at Toys for Tots on my own ticket. And
these are things 11-year-olds worry about. I want to talk to you just quickly about what you just mentioned, which I think is also another aspect of the external making the performance level. You had braces, real life braces back in the day when they didn't have Invisaligns or removable. So you had iron-clad braces, and then they covered it with wax every morning, which gave you the vocal intonation that everyone knows is Allison, not Allison, but Nellie Oleson. The over enunciation.
I had the.
How was that? How did that happen? I mean, tell me.
So I got the braces, and what they would do, and Melissa was doing the same thing. They would remove them from here to here when it was time to film. We'd have hiatus, because hiatus is a couple of months. So I have everything come, and then they take them off just from here to here. And I remember when we could have like clear brackets, but you could take it, and then full wires here, and then full wires down below, and then like power chain that would pull even more, and then headgear to speed up the process. Melissa and I sometimes would sitting there in school doing our homework, and we'd have to wear our headgear on breaks and stuff. So it's horribly painful. I mean, had that and the pain in this story. So, and then we had orthodontist wax, and you'd wad up some, and you'd put it on this bracket that was here, and the first bracket here, and then a big wad of it down here to cut the shine, because it wasn't high def. So as long as you cut the shine and just covered them with something whitish, and I wasn't really good. I wasn't doing this as Nellie, so it was like, so my fault, and so it worked. Now people watch a show and it's high def and Blu-ray, etc., and you can totally see them. You can see her braces. You can see my braces. It's like you can see everything. It's terrible, but it worked.
So you're playing Nellie Oleson in the 70s. By the way, if you're watching this and you're still watching this, then you gotta buy her book and read her book, because her book's amazing. But in the book, I remember you talking about how being Nellie Oleson saved you from all the mean kids at Hollywood High. Read that story in the book, because it's a really good one. But what was it like walking around the world as Nellie Oleson before Darth Vader? You were like literally the evilest character around.
It's like I said, it's always been awesome. I mean, and it was more like the junior high was rough. Junior high was rough. That was the age when people who decided they were going to be criminals of some kind started their little careers. And people who were joining gangs had just joined their gangs, were trying to prove themselves. And it was like a nightmare. And then by the time I got to Hollywood High, all of those people had either dropped out of school, gone to jail, or gotten help. So they were just not there. So I was like, oh, God, I think I was going to survive another couple of years of that, because I thought I was going to die in junior high school. And that's why it worked, because these girls who generally beat a lot of people up, they were in a gang, and they came up to me and said, "Are you Alison Arngrim?" And I'm like, "Oh, someone's put a hit out on me." They were asking. I'm dead. Because they were very violent. They were very violent people. And I
You're
said,
going to
oh,
get
yeah.
shanked in the
You're
yard.
gonna get shit. Yeah, it was like a prison movie. It was like, what have I got myself into? And they said, you're one a Little House on the Prairie? And I'm going, oh yeah. And I thought, there's nowhere to go. Fine. Yes, I am. You play Nellie Oleson. I went, yes, I do. They're, oh, you're bad. And they thought I was badass and that I beat up Laura, and they thought I was cool, and they thought it was hilarious. And I was like, yes. And so I signed autographs for all of them, and it was rather convenient because sometimes they would show up when somebody else was going to kick my ass. And I was like,
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey there, my name is Patrick Laberto, and I play an actor on TV. And I also have this acting school called Working Actors School. And what we do there is we teach people to act using Zoom. So you can take an acting class with me and with a person in Connecticut, in Florida, and San Diego all at the same time, thanks to the miracle of Zoom. But we also teach kids. We have a great class called the Youth Weekly class that's every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And it's for kids. It's for like 10 to 17. And we have a great group of kids right now, and it is ongoing. So if you know someone that wants to get into acting and has never done any acting but would love to try, why don't you have them try starting off with Youth Weekly? Just go to workingactorsschool.com and check us out. It's Youth Weekly every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Act 3, present day.
I had a whole question about Steve Tracy and your work with the AIDS, the foundation and all the things that you've done. You and your relationship to the homosexual community or the gay community or the LGBTQ community has been historic and legendary and like from the very beginning. But your love of that group of people or that society or I don't know how you'd say it is one thing. But they love Nellie, and the drag queens love Nellie. Why? What do you think is going on there? What is the love
early
there?
on, I did notice this. I mean, obviously, yeah, when Steve Tracy got sick and went public with his AIDS diagnosis, and I went to AIDS Project Los Angeles, the whole thing. But long before that, early on, we noticed that with the fandom, as we know, Little House is the crossover show. People love it in every country. People from all walks of life. People who are so different in everything they believe or think or like Little House on the Prairie. People who agree on nothing, but they like Little House on the Prairie. And in the gay community, there were definitely people when Mrs. Oleson and Nellie are camp. They are extremely campy. And Nellie and Mrs. with the clothes and Mrs. with the hats. And so absolutely, there was a segment, and often of young gay men growing up watching the show going, da, da, da. And obviously a lot of young gay men growing up, they had a crush on Michael Landon, just as, your mom and all the girls did, And then you had young women growing up as lesbians and seeing here was Laura, who did not follow the rules and the stereotypes of what women were supposed to do in the 1800s. She played ball after Mary was going, we're not supposed to do that sort of thing anymore. She'd hike up her skirts and play ball and play with the boys. She'd get in fights. She'd punch people. She did what she wanted. And the real Laura Ingalls and Alonzo, she didn't have obey in the marriage vows. So she was like,
oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Laura Ingalls could kick ass. And so absolutely there were a group of young women watching the show going, yes. And then absolutely. So there was always a gay community segment of our fans. And as Mrs. Oleson and Nellie, I think, got even campier, indeed, there were people who felt, I had someone once tell me I was too young for Betty Davis or any of that. You were my first diva. And I was like, thank you. And absolutely, have I met people who dress up as me and drag? Yes, I have. Absolutely, they're drag. The best thing was just this last summer, I did a series of my stand-up shows, and I was in Louisville and Nashville, and a marvelous drag queen, Veronica Electronica, alias Steve, fabulous, who played both these clubs, kind of got me into this one circuit with Louisville. Said, okay, I'm going to get you from Louisville, Nashville. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. He was doing huge promo because he's a huge following on Instagram. Said, all right, but I'm going to do an opening thing. So we booked him with, Spin Cycle, the group booked me, to do an opening thing. He said, okay, so I'm trying to think what to do for my opening thing. I do a lot of Southern drag. I do like Dolly Parton and everything like that. He goes, wait, I have an idea. He found a Mrs. Oleson style, 1800s, gorgeous Mrs. Olson style dress. And he put rhinestones on it. And he got a Mrs. Olson wig and fabulous makeup. And he came out as my opening act as Mrs. Olson in
Oh
drag.
my God.
People lost their minds. And it was even funnier because remember that thing they did on Saturday Night Live, Mother. I'm your mother. That's what he did. He lip synced to I'm Your Mother, which is, people are just falling to the floor. People were on the floor, dead. And so then he riled up the audience. Right? Brilliant. So absolutely the connection between, indeed, the character of Nellie Oleson and drag and people who enjoyed the whole gay camp.
Yeah, once I mean, because
betcha.
it started
Betcha.
like naturally or holistically, but then with your connection, once you guys meet, it just blows up into this whole big, huge love fest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of in my stand-up in New York and old place to play, it is we have a very interesting crowd. We get a whole crowd of gay men, and then we have like women 40 plus who are like grew up watching the reruns of the show, so they're all there.
Right.
Get like, bachelorette parties. We get this really wild cross section of people, and then sometimes I play I'm gonna be in Provincetown. I'll be in P-Town again next year, and it's gonna be a blast.
So we had this big, I mean, there again, so much to talk about, but we had the big 50th in Simi Valley where I think 18,000 people
18,000 people.
And my first indicator of like, oh, hold on, what the hell, is when I got there and I'm looking at the line of people waiting to get in, and they're all dressed up like Trekkies, like they're all like ready to like party down in their, gingham. What was you've done 1,100 Bonnethead.
I own Bonnethead. My website is literally bonnetheads.com. I mean, yes, our Bonnetheads.
So these are the true believers of Bonnetheads. Always gone to the conventions and always are great with fans. But this was a really unique particular situation because it wasn't like they were there for any other show or any other celebrity. It was for the show. Tell me about your thoughts and feelings about the big 50th anniversary in Simi Valley.
That was incredible. We really do have to thank it was a Baby Gary thing, because really Rachel Greenbush and her husband Danny, who live in Simi, had been trying to get something, because I remember Danny going, they have Pioneer Days. Why aren't we doing that? So when the 50th is approaching, they were meeting with like Olan, who painted the sets and stuff, and saying, hey, we should do something. And then I get in and then the chamber actually contacted me and said, we're thinking of doing something. I said, I got a deal for you. And next thing you know, we're having these huge, insane committee meetings that went on for months and months and months. And it just took like years in the making. And so various cast members were in the committee with all sorts of planners and set designers and the chamber. So I was in a bunch of those committee meetings at one point. So I knew what was going on. So I knew when we'd sold 9, and then I had to go out of town. So I was like, I can't get these. But I knew when we crossed 9,000 tickets, and I knew when we crossed 10,000 tickets. So I knew it was out of control. And I remember I called our lovely Pamela Roy Lance, because she was kind of heading up security. Hilariously.
Pam was our security.
Was really the one writing herd on the people who were booking security to make sure there's enough security. Pam
Just was like, so if you don't know Pam is like, if she's being mugged, she'd hold the guy's gun while he beat her up so that he had both hands available.
Here, do you need more money?
She's so sweet.
I have more money in my other purse. I'll get you that. Yeah, she's the sweetest, gentlest person, but she was the one like, look, I know someone with a show. She was like the security. So I was Pam. Do we have, no, I was panicked. I said, do we have enough security? She goes, yeah. I said, we're over. It's just going to turn to Woodstock. The fences are going to go. She goes, oh, no, I already called. Yeah, we're like doubling, tripling everything. I'm like, okay. I was like, where's the tent? Not now. Melissa did not know this. Melissa Gilbert did not know this. A bunch of us had like no clue this was all happening. A few of us knew this. We were like, and then, as I said, we're already up to 10,000 tickets. And me and Karen Grassley and Melissa Gilbert, Mala and Laura are all going on Good Morning America, which means all the people who don't know about it, who aren't on Facebook, who have no idea this is happening, are going to turn on TV and see us. And we're going to go, hey, we're at this address in 2 days. Come on over. They're just going to get in the car. They're not going to think. They're not going to go online, buy a ticket. They're going to just go, Martha, come. And they're just going to start driving. And we don't know how many people are going to go. Yeah, it's going to be insane. And so I knew this was going to be out of control. So I was loaded for, but you saw how much stuff I brought with the thing and the boxes. Yeah. So I was like, Bob and I checked into a hotel like the night before. We're like, oh yeah, we're doing this. We knew it was going to be insane and we're prepared for anything. So Melissa shows up, and she talked to her brother Jonathan, who never goes to anything.
This is a magical moment. Yeah.
Because they didn't know it was 18,000 people. They didn't know we'd sold 10,000 tickets. They said, this will be nice. We'll get to see everyone. And then it's this sea of people. Just, they don't stop coming. And Melissa's like, what is going on? I'm like, you know about the 18,000. And then Jonathan shows up and he's like, who are all these people? And I'm like, it was hilarious. And yes, 18,000 people. And I knew they were coming. It was incredible. People coming up to my table. Hi, we're from Peru. I grew up watching the show in Peru, and I brought my whole family. They came from all over the world. They came from all over the world.
You know, it's amazing. I watched, because we were all in the same room, but like you could see certain people. You were behind me. I couldn't see you, but I could see Melissa. And she and her husband were there, who's, you know, like a huge, wonderful actor, director. And he's there and he's taking care of Melissa. You and Melissa at a convention, it's so weird. It's like people come up and they're laughing and smiling with you. And with Melissa, they're crying and hugging her because it's a religious experience for most people who meet Melissa. And I feel bad for Melissa, not because everyone loves her, but she's so empathetic that it's exhausting for her.
It's exhausting, absolutely exhausting. She has to take breaks. She's like, the craziest was we did a couple of events, Fanboy, and I did Fan Next with Melissa, but Karen and Melissa and I did Fanboy. So it's Fanboy's huge. So we did Orlando. It's a million freaking people in Knoxville. And we're up on those things. So you're up on a platform. You're like up in the air looking down, and they have to come up the steps to get you. So Karen there's their mom. So they come up. And it's Maud. They are losing. They are crying. And then I get a couple of criers. I'm like, this is happening to be that. And so we started keeping track. And we'd go crier on aisle 5. We had boxes of Kleenex. And we started keeping score of who made the most people cry.
Who won?
Karen, Ma. They would just melt down. And it's like, oh, it's so sweet. And we were very nice. We had Kleenex. And we'd say, yes, it's okay. And hug people. And yeah.
So out of the 50th, I think, or at least in the planning of that, I remember being at a show with you and Dean, and we all and Jennifer, and we all ended up in this huge stretch limo, super feeling like a big Hollywood moment, but it was like 4 a.m. And people were talking about like, we need to do some sort of podcast or something. And I'm half out of my mind of tiredness, and I'm like going, Ike Eisenman has a podcast.
I'd slept an hour.
This guy who's got, who like kind of represents the audience. So you should get a girl that represents the audience, like that Pam girl who did the Prairie thing. And you should do a podcast.
Sounds good.
And like 6 months later, you did it. You made it and you did everything.
So Dean and I start talking to you. He goes, do you want to do this? Do you want to go? Hell yes, I want to do it. I've been doing the Alison Arngrim show. I'm totally like into it. I know how to do this thing. And so then he's like, should we do this? Should we go with the Pamela? Okay, we should totally go with the Pamela thing. So we call Pamela Bob and she's like, yes. Oh my God, this is my dream. Perfect. She said, I know exactly what I want to ask everybody. And it'll be perfect because she's the one who did this show, Living on a Prairie, about a woman who is like obsessed with the show. So she totally gets the whole thing.
It's on YouTube. It's hysterical. If you've ever seen one episode, you'll love these shows. Yeah.
He has the whole fan perspective, and then me and Dean. And so we started calling around, and it was actually funny because Dean called around. There was a bunch of people like, where we produce it, who's going to do it, we're going to do it. And he talked to someone, and he came back and went, I don't know, man, it's really expensive. And it was some insane amount of money. And I went, you want to go over to UB and go? My guy. And I go call Tony. And so UB and go, where Tony Sweet is, who does Alison Arngrim show. And I said, Dean, and he calls him, and he's like, we're talking a price difference. It's like ridiculous. And Tony's like, it doesn't cost that much to do a podcast, even if we do like all the bells and whistles. Like my deluxe package is like this. So we're like, what are we doing? And so off we went. And Dean was like, best referral ever. And we got, and it's so funny because Dean is always sort of like a little bit straight man, always like kind of proper.
Yep.
And what I'm like, but the two of us get going. And then Pamela's asking, and then we've had everyone on, and they start telling stories that they've never told anyone. And
it's a great podcast. You guys do a great job. Yeah. You really do.
We have a plan. We have a plan. We have some questions we want to ask. We have a layout, and then we're going to do this. But sometimes someone just starts like spilling their guts, and we both kind of go, okay, yeah, never mind that. What? So what do you want? It's like, let's go with this. And it's been brilliant. We are hilarious, damn it, if I say so myself.
Okay, so obviously I'm gonna just take my show that I did with you guys off this question, because obviously it would be me. What's been your favorite episode of the podcast where you just enjoyed like the stories and everything? Not saying that any of the other ones aren't amazing, but like, what's your favorite one of these?
Melissa Gilbert. We had Melissa Sue Anderson was kind of mind-blowing because she was like the last person we thought would do it, and she was absolutely delightful. And she opened up and talked about things she has absolutely never talked about ever in an interview. And we were actually kind of, well, the hell with the questions. We'll just roll with it. I mean, she was like amazing. And then Melissa Gilbert is always just like right there, just in your face. She was fucking hilarious. We just had on Victor French's kids, Tracy and Victor Jr.
Oh, okay, great.
You can imagine. Oh my God. And the stories they told about their dad, where we were just, we were enthralled. It's hard to say. I mean, each episode I kind of go, is this my favorite episode? No, this one's my favorite episode, because we don't know what's going to happen. We get in there, we try to be so and Dean is very planned, and we have the thing, because we go to break and we plug Simi Valley, we plug this, and we're so like, yes, this is what we're going to do. And then things happen. And we're like, ah! And it's just been so much fun. The first few episodes, I actually felt like I was in therapy. Because we were talking about the show, and we were talking about stuff we hadn't. I was even talking about things I hadn't talked about before. And Dean started going, I've never told anyone this, and things start just like coming out. And I would feel a little dizzy and unsettled after the podcast and have to like go lie down. And I went, this is like being in weird post-Prairie group therapy. Is the strangest
It really
sensation.
is, because what the way my theory about it, and I thought about it strangely enough, because I watch the podcast and I see you guys and I know you guys, but what happens when you're a child actor is these stories become, like burnished and polished, because you've told them so many times to so many different people, that the stories become kind of like a thing by themselves. So like a story that I've told about Michael Landon might be completely different than, but when you're talking to the people that were there, like you guys do on the podcast, or we're doing here, then we have a shared memory that I don't have to explain who Michael Landon is to you. We can explain stuff. And there's something that comes to life. And I think that's one of the great things about the podcast, is that you get the abridged emotional, connection.
Talking about polish, I mean, most of the stories I tell, I put in my book. So they were written and edited and rewritten. And then they're in my stand-up act. So they're retooled and everything for the timing. So they've been kind of processed and canned and redone. But then, when you're telling these stories and you're with someone who was there and everything, so you're going, oh yeah, but then there was the part of the story that I didn't even get into the button. You're like,
well, it's like when during I think it was after the Hollywood show, we all went to the Smokehouse, and it was one of the first times I'd hung out with you guys in a long time, like
the dinner at the Smokehouse. I thought that was so awesome.
And it was me and 1,000 other people, but at the table it was you and Melissa and myself and some other, and you and Melissa started singing the Suyaki Fiku Want Some Seafood Mama.
Fuliaki wants seafood, mama, shrimpers and rice, hold tight. Because Gladys, the hairdresser, used to sing that to me when she put the wig on.
Exactly. So here's the thing. So I hear this and I started crying, because it was something that I had heard as a kid, but I'd never heard anywhere else, and I'd forgotten about it. And then when I heard you and Melissa sing it, I went, oh my God, that's where I know this from. It's from my childhood. And then, that weird kind of distance we have from being a child actor, which is like, it's a thing we talk about, to like a memory of like, oh, right, right, Allison and Melissa are my childhood friends. We had these, and that song brought it all back. And I was like, holy shit, these are the kids I grew up with. It's weird. I don't know
Okay.
if you've ever experienced that kind of like.
So I'm at Melissa's
dysmorphia.
house. This is some years ago. This is when Mikey was still young. So I'm at Melissa's house, and she was getting a cold washcloth. Kid was feverish, whatever. And she went to get a cold washcloth. And we're standing in the kitchen. She's wetting down a cloth, and she said, "Yes, I'm going to make him a whoppie." Anyway, and I said, "Did you say a whoppie?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, that's so funny. That's what I called a cold washcloth when I was a little girl." And she turns around and looks at me like I am the biggest idiot in the world and goes, "Yeah, I know. That's where I got it from. We grew up together, remember?" And I went, "Oh, right."
Right. I mean, it's so weird because we have our memories. And then when you see an episode of Little House, I don't know about you, but when I watch an episode of Little House, I'll remember what we did that day.
Right.
I won't remember the episode. I'll like, oh, what happens next? With everything I'm on, I'll remember the shooting day.
About what we ate for lunch.
Yeah.
I remember all this.
Oh, man. Good times.
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey there, my name is Patrick Laberteau, and I play an actor on TV. And I also have this acting school called Working Actors School. And what we do there is we teach people to act using Zoom. So you can take an acting class with me and with a person in Connecticut, in Florida, and San Diego all at the same time, thanks to the miracle of Zoom. Now, besides classes, I also offer a one-on-one session. It's an hour just between you and me working on a particular piece of material, whether it's for an upcoming audition or maybe you're working on something and you need to have that breakthrough moment. These are really, really fun, and they're really, really great because they're really personalized and intense in all the good ways that intense can be. So if you're working on something, if you want to break through, if you want to have a one-on-one session where you're not working with other people, this is the way to do it. All the information is in the classes page on workingactorsschool.com.
Act 4. Questions.
We're going to end the show here with some questions. The questions are, the first one is called That's Showbiz. What's your most Hollywood moment that you've ever experienced in life?
Dan Haggerty of Grizzly Adams trying to pick me up, hitting on me at Brenda Vaccaro's Christmas party. He cornered me by the eggnog punch bowl. The eggnog, the big bowl eggnog. And I was in a mini skirt and boots. And he was very nice, but it was kind of dry.
What was his move? Hey, want to come meet my bear?
And I found out it was his move because I later met someone that went, yes, that's totally what he does. Some woman who, and I think she went with him. The woman I talked to, she said, oh yeah, that's what he did. He came up and we were chatting. And I mean, I knew who he was. And I think he knew who I was. I mean, I was 20, so I wasn't a child. I was like early 20s, but I was pretty young. And we're chatting. And like all of a sudden, apropos of nothing, out of nowhere, he just goes, so do you want to just like leave? Like, you know, right now, my bike's out back. We just go right now. We just like blow this pop thing. Want to go? Bike's out. And I went, oh, yeah. Oh, no, I can't. And it was like, oh my freaking God. I didn't know what to say. And I had like a boyfriend that does it. I didn't like hear with people a little how. And I joke about it in my act because I say, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, Grizzly Adams, I like body hair, but that's shag carpeting. I knew that. No, can't do. And then he was very polite. I said no, and he was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And, you know, probably went and got somebody else 2 seconds later.
Yeah.
But years later, I met this woman. I was talking about that. And she goes, oh, my God, Grizzly Adams, right, Dan Haggerty. And I said, she said, he picked me up, and I think he was successful with her. She was like, yeah. She said, well, you know, the funniest thing, and he said, so you want to just go? You want to just go right now? I went, so that's the move. He chatting great.
I got to appreciate the economy. I like the economy. It's
and
like
big smile. You want to just go, and you got to know that many women went, "Yeah, sure, what the hell?"
Right,
and so there you go. But yes, and the combination of
the Brenda Vaccaro touch is
Christmas party and Dan Haggerty, Grizzly Adams trying to pick me up.
I'm already picturing Bert Convy and a Dickie walking around with an eggnog. Okay, that's Showbiz Part 2. Yeah. The most embarrassing Hollywood moment.
Oh, my God. That is... It was I'm still mortified. Our beautiful Linwood Boomer, our lovely Linwood Boomer played Adam. Went on, of course, to do many brilliant shows through Rock from the Sun, and then created Malcolm in the Middle, which is based on his life, that he was the little genius child with the obnoxious brothers. That was his life. Incredible. So I'm at an award show, and the three darling boys from Malcolm in the Middle, all three of them are there and are presenting. And they were still pretty young then, very young. And I'm emceeing with someone, and the three darling kids, Malcolm in the Middle, are. I'm like, oh. So I say hi, I'm being introduced to them, and we're chatting. And they are so well brought up. All three of them in their little suits are so well brought up and so polite. And they sort of know who I am, but they're really young. But they are polite to the end. Yes. And then I say, and as I say it, I know I'm an idiot. I know that this is a bad idea. I open my mouth and I say, I used to work with your boss, Linwood Boomer. Now, as it left my mouth, I immediately heard the voice of every little old lady who'd come up to me as a child and said, I went to school with your grandmother. I knew that is what I had basically just said. And I went, like, I am 100 years old. And then it was worse because they all looked at me and smiled and nodded and said, that's nice. Which is what I did when I was 10. And the woman said, I went to school with your grandmother. Just the old lady. And I was just like, I'm going to
Okay, here it is.
Like the
next one.
It's like,
Next question. Show me the money. Your biggest missed financial opportunity. You don't have to get into details about the amounts, but like we're always presented with some weird options in this business. What was your biggest missed financial opportunity?
Now, I did pretty good. I've always said, we Arngrams don't leave a nickel on the table anywhere. Did pretty good. I'm trying to think weird gigs I've turned down. I remember trying to think a couple things I turned down, but they were terrible. So that didn't miss out. A couple things, parts I really wanted that were great that I didn't get because Jodie Foster was there. I don't know. Okay. This is a good one because it worked out. Because it's like, no, it would have been a lot of money and I didn't do it. And then I was like, good that I did not. I got a call. It's, I guess, early 90s. Stand-up gig, but it was like I have to do like many minutes. I mean, I later wound up doing 2 hours in New York. It's fine. But at this time, it's still, yes, you'd have to do an hour and a half. I'm like, I don't have an hour and a half. And it's on a cruise ship. I'm like, oh, okay, God. But it's a cruise ship in Bahrain. Bahrain. It's a cruise ship in Bahrain that's like and it's very, very wealthy people in Bahrain. But it's like a month. You're going to have to stay for like a month on this cruise ship. But it's so much money. It's thousands of dollars like per ship. It's a month, but I mean, it was like something, I don't know, like 20 grand a week or something. It was crazy money to hang out on a cruise ship. And you'll be wined and dined to be a cruise ship. It's a luxury cruise ship. And you'll have the luxury room and the thing. And you'll be able to come and you will do like, it was like 2 shows a night on Saturday. It was like a lot of work, but it was $1 bazillion. But it was in Bahrain for a month. And I went, listen, I don't think I can do that many shows a month. I don't think I have enough material to do this on short notice. And Bahrain, I'd be gone for a month. And I said no. And I felt bad because cruise ship, Bahrain.
Yeah.
Several weeks go by. And at the time, when I would have been on the cruise ship in Bahrain, we had Operation Desert Storm.
Oh my God.
It was really good that I was not performing on a cruise ship in Bahrain at the time. And I remember calling my father, laughing hysterically, going, what? Saddam Hussein would have me performing in the palace basement like now. This would not go well. Bahrain. You tried to send me to Bahrain. What the hell were you thinking? So,
there were that I would say missed financial opportunity, but way to go for the life scale. Show and tell.
My life goes like that. I do pretty well. I'm very lucky person.
Show and tell. As a teenager, favorite poster in your room and how'd you come to obtain it?
Favorite poster that I put up?
Yeah.
Well, this is just like, then now we're into embarrassment land. Now, I did have one poster, yes, of the Sex Pistols. I did. I like them. But I had an inordinate number of posters of Sylvester Stallone when I was 15, 16 years old. My mother once referred to my room. She said, I have to go clean the Sylvester Stallone Memorial Chapel. She referred to my room as the Sylvester Stallone Memorial Chapel because she's like, why of all the freaking people? But yeah, stuff from Rocky and everything, Rocky 2. Yes. That was the poster. I mean, I didn't.
There's no question. I mean, I get it. I had a Rocky 3 poster.
Oh my God! Yeah, right. I wasn't in like Sean Cassidy or I liked
Right.
Robert De Niro, I liked Al Pacino, I liked Sylvester Stallone, I liked the Sex Pistols. I was like, like I said, jeans and Converse, high top tennies.
And then the final question: show me some love. What's your opinion? What's my best performance?
I don't know. Let me see. What was it? Well, The Cheaters.
It was a great episode.
That was brilliant. You look so terrified when I'm sitting there telling about you got to go steal the answers from your mom, the final exam answers from your mom, or I'll rat you out and tell them you've been cheating the whole time, and you want your parents to be proud of you, don't you?
People hate you so much. Whenever I mention that, people they hate you so much.
And the one where I go, I cheat. Yeah, I said, do you know how to get such grades? You're like, because you study hard. No, I cheat. I can't remember those things. It clutters the mind. Yeah, I love that scene. I love that scene so much. And you do look so horrified when I tell you now it's a blackmail plot and you're doomed. You just look like you're going to die. And then later when you do get caught and confess to your mother, you're like sobbing and everything. It's just like, yeah, that was awesome. Then I was horrible too. And you look like were you a little scared of me in that scene? Were you like a little weirded out because I'm
scared of you to this day. Are you kidding? No, you've always been, like I said from the beginning, you've always been my favorite. But yeah, you're definitely you don't mess with Allison. Which this is not a scheduled question, but the final one I want to ask about is in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They had this character played the little girl who is in Bounty Law, or not Bounty Law, but like one of the shows that he was doing. It could have been any one of you three. Melissa, you, or Jodie Foster. What did you think when you saw this movie? And what was going through your head?
Jeannie Russell from Margaret and Dennis and the Menace. Jeannie Russell thinks it might be her. We've all had every child. Jeannie Russell was the one who said, "Go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood." I said, "I did no. Go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood." And I was like, "What's the Mansons?" No. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Mansons. That's like a minor subplot. Go see this movie. Yeah. We're all in it. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, it's the 70s. It's show business. If you were a child actor and you were a child actor in the 60s, go see this freaking movie. You will flip the hell out. And so when we got to that scene, and there's this little girl who is so super precocious, smart, and reading her script and just giving the poor guy a hard time and just like, I really need to stay in character. And she's just this little like Hollywoodian child. As it went on, I slowly turned to Bob in the theater and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was in this film." And it was so, but I was cracking up because one of the things you watch Hullabaloo, when he does Hullabaloo.
Yeah. It's a ripoff of Michael's Hullabaloo.
Yeah. Go on YouTube and pull up Michael Landon Hullabaloo and watch the video and pull up Hullabaloo scene from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well, I know Quentin has to have watched Little House. I know he's a Michael fan only because in Django Unchained, Jamie Foxx is wearing the little Joe jacket.
He's a big old TV buff. That's his thing. So, yeah. It's all in there.
Did you ever talk to Melissa about it? And who do you guys think? It's probably, to be honest, it's probably an amalgam of all you guys. It is. But but it is a very small group of girls who were. But
Jeannie said, she goes, I know all the characters were mixed with somebody. Well, like the stuntmen. I mean, everyone's in there, and I think even Michael's stuntman Hal Burton is sort of in there. Like they're all in there. Michael is one of the people that has been pulled into this character. He's one of the people that character is. For sure. Yeah. And Jeannie Russell said, I was about that age and I did do a Western. And she says, just saying. And so yes, that child actor is a blend of multiple child actors, but we're pretty sure one of them is Jeannie Russell.
Well, I mean, it's like she did one Western. The character looked like you, sounded like Jodie Foster, and had the career of Melissa. So it was sort of like
It was. It was
all
totally us.
that.
It was
Yeah.
totally us. And just like when he's supposed to be Michael Landon part of the thing. Yeah, it's completely, yeah.
Epilogue. Okay, and we're into the epilogue here, which is the area where you're going to plug stuff. Now, I know people in this business. I'm a professional actor. I don't know anyone as busy as you are. So this is going to be our Christmas special. Or New Year's special. What do you want to plug? You're doing so much stuff. What's coming up for you?
So much. We're just getting 2025 booked. We're just getting 2025 sorted out. It won't be as brutal as 2024 because 2024 50th, I was working round the clock. It was like every weekend. I was gone for like months.
Not only just stuff in the States, but like you were transcontinental to Paris and France and all over the place.
Because I had my friend's show and then I was doing my stand-up show. So same on that. March, from the last weekend of February through almost last weekend of March, I will be in France. I have nine shows lined up, including one in Belgium we just added. So if you're in there, I will be.
Which again, I could do a different podcast on every one of your interesting things. You're like a huge star in France. I mean, Little House is big, but like you specifically in your show, it's like a phenomenon.
David Hasselhoff in Germany. I am the Hoff of France. And I have 9 shows there, and it's a Nellie Oleson enflamme les années 80. Nellie Oleson sets fire to the 80s. It's insane. And so we're doing that, and then I'm going to come back, and there's some Prairie event we're trying to get going. There's more Prairie events we're trying to make happen here. Then in May, I will be doing my stand-up show. It looks like Laurie Beachman in New York, and if it's not the Beachman, somewhere else. Then in May, also, Dean and I got invited to this thing, CountryCon in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we're going to be at that.
Nice.
That's in May. And then I'm going to have some stand-up dates again, but it looks like July I will be. In fact, I was just out at dinner the other night with the guy who runs a club at the Red Room in Provincetown, Massachusetts, in P-Town. And in Provincetown, they have different weeks. There's like Women's Week. There's various different weeks, the Men's Week, this week, that week, Lesbian Week. I will be there for Bear Week. I was there for Bear Week last year, and I will be there because I know who my fans are. Yes. Yeah. I did the Bear Cruise last year. Bears take the Prairie. Just saying. I'm
very close to the bear community because my paw was like the ultimate bear. Yeah.
Merlin Olsen, Mr. Garvey, is a huge favorite among the bear population of Little House fans. Mr. Garvey.
How could he not? Yeah.
How could he not? Just very gentle, sweet. It's a thing. It's a thing. So I'm going to Bear Week in Provincetown. So I know I'm doing that. And then we have plans because, I was just in Ireland. I spoke at a conference there and then found my ancestors and then met my cousin who I didn't know I had. And that was, there's video on YouTube. It's like, hi, this is your cousin. He said, I don't know. They called me at 10 o'clock in the morning. Said I had to come to the pub because I'm related to Nellie Oleson. And it... bonkers. So I'm trying to get back to Ireland, maybe we're plotting and planning and having endless meetings about all this stuff. But I am going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma in May. I am going to be in New York in May, and I am going to be in P-Town in July, and I will be in France for all of March.
Amazing. And plus the weekly podcast it was for the 50th, but it seems like it's grown over.
It's never stopping. It was the 50th Little House in the Prairie 50th anniversary podcast with Dean Butler, Alison Arngrim, and Pamela Bob of New York. And it's never ending. We're not stopping. We're just going to keep doing it because it's way too much fun. And people are tuning in droves. It's like totally off the charts.
It's great.
And then I have the Alison Arngrim show, and I just had Stephanie Powers on, who I billed as the smartest person in the world. You have to have Stephanie Powers on. I talked to her, I said, and you're the smartest person in the world. Oh my God.
I'll have to.
It's great. Yeah. So I have that show. Then you got to get the Nellie newsletter, folks. Email me at loosegravelparade@AOL. Get the Nellie newsletter. I'm probably going to do a live, more live, start reading again, cameos. I'm doing all of that. It's nuts. Yes, it doesn't end here. No.
Well, in our continuing conversation, which will go on until we're dead, I love hanging out with you. It's always fun. Thank you for doing the show. This was really, really special.
I may have to have you back on the Alison Arngrim show because now that you've got the acting school up and running, you've got the podcast up and running. You were just starting some of this stuff, I think, when I had you on last. Yep. So now you know what's next. You know it's time for the book. We finally got Dean to write a book, and it's great. Dean's
book is really, really good. Your book is the best, and I I do the TikTok stuff, or I do this thing here. Anything more like a book is just going to be like the same thing.
You're gonna have to.
I'm okay. Well, I'll look. I can't read or write. I was educated on a set.
And you cheat, and we know, because Andy, you're cheated and stole the answers. So,
Thank you. You get me.
That's
all right, guys. Thank you, Allison.
All day,
Thank you. No, that is wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labato. He's the one you gotta know.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. I'm really, really glad you're here and checking out the podcast. It is an audio podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It's a video podcast over on YouTube or on Spotify or wherever you get the video ones. All of my socials are Working Actors School on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Please check us out. If you want any information about the school, it is at workingactorsschool.com. We've got classes going on all the time. And again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.